our day.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
All right, thank you very much. You may get seated. The day, because we didn't just start today, we handed the day over to God, and so it is for this closing ceremony, for this closing event, as we get to discuss. It's one thing to have the discussions, it's another thing for God to give you the might and power to be able to have this fulfilled. Now, just before we proceed, there is an informational video that I would request that we pay our attention to, so all eyes on the screen will be having that video, which gives a bit of an explainer of what the entire week has been. Of course, we can't play ours, but it's just a short clip that we need to pay attention to. So ladies and gentlemen, let's pay attention to this informational video, which is actually going to be coming in just a bit. I've been notified it will be coming up in just a while. But before the video comes up, we have a summary of the outcomes of this Water and Environment Week 2023. And I would like to invite the technical subcommittee, the chairman of the technical subcommittee, Dr. Kalist, to come and let us know what the discussions have been, what are the action points that we are taking home today. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. The Honorable representatives, the third Deputy Prime Minister, who is represented currently, the Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to summarize what has taken place during this week, we are going to start with a video. Let's start with a video to give us a feel of what has taken place during this week and weeks before. Then after that, I will highlight some of the key messages coming out of this week. So let's get a video to give us a feel of what has taken place during this week.
The annual Uganda Water and Environment Week event has come to an end with a number of activities and deliberations from a cross-section of key stakeholders from all walks of life. This year's hybrid event, the sixth of its kind, is organized by the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute with the aim of raising awareness and attracting more stakeholders to share experiences and challenges affecting human life in the water and environment sectors in Uganda. Running under the theme Water and Environment for Climate Resilient Development, the event kicked off with a number of pre-event activities, which included, among others, a 320-kilometer walk trail from the Kingfisher Development Area in Chikube District to the ministry's headquarters in Kampala and a national youth debate tournament. Working in collaboration with the Walkers Association of Uganda and several other stakeholders, the Ministry of Water and Environment interfaced with the public with an array of activities that included tree planting, cleanup exercises and sensitization talks in communities, schools and churches. Alongside the Water and Environment Trek, the Ministry, in collaboration with Youth Go Green, a non-government organization that promotes youth involvement in water and environment conservation, organized a national youth debate tournament that attracted over 500 participants from a cross-section of universities, secondary and primary schools across the country to raise awareness on water and environment issues among the youth. Makerere University from the central region of Uganda emerged the overall winner of this year's competition, beating 3 other contenders. Finn's Medical University from Western Region, Kaliro National Teachers College from the East, and Gulu University from the North were the other contenders to beat at the finals.
So we want to encourage the youth through Youth Go Green also to take up matters of water resources, climate and environment very seriously.
To crown up the week-long event, a hybrid conference that attracted over 8,000 participants across the world was officially launched on Sunday, the 12th of March 2023, at the ministry's headquarters in Luzira, where a number of dignitaries from government, the international community and several stakeholders from the private sector attended. In a speech read for her by the chairperson of the Environment and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament, Honourable Manuel Otala, the Speaker of Parliament, Honourable Anita Annette Among, who was the guest of honour, advised the government to enact laws that will enforce regular clean-up exercises in the country.
Government should also enact laws that enable the people to participate in clean-up exercises, commonly known as Urungu Bwansi. Under this program, the people clean their own areas at least once every month.
She also recommended a need to mainstream governance of water and environment resources among ministries, departments and agencies to improve climate resilience.
There is an urgent need to improve on the institutional coordination between the ministries, departments and agencies to improve on the governance of our water and environment resources.
Speaking on behalf of the development partners, the head of Mission Austrian Development Corporation in Uganda, Her Excellency Dr. Roswitha Kremser, acknowledged the great contribution of up to 500 million euros to the water and environment sector in Uganda, which she said was a clear demonstration of commitment to the sector.
Uganda currently benefits from a portfolio of 500 million euros that includes more than 60 million grants currently being invested in the sector and 250 million euros in the environment sector, as recently reported by the development partners of both the water and sanitation and also the environment partners working group. This clearly demonstrates the European Union's commitment to the sector, and we're certain that together as partners, through partners, we can make not only a contribution, we can make a meaningful contribution.
Speaking on behalf of religious leaders, His Eminence Metropolitan Geronimos Muzei, who is also the co-chairperson of the Uganda Joint Christian Council, cautioned the current generation to desist from acts that destroy the environment.
The air we breathe, the water we drink, and is the source of life. If it is defiled, the element and the sense of our existence are threatened. Man must change, and change fundamentally.
The Minister of Water and Environment, Honourable Sam Cheptoris, pledged the Ministry's commitment to implement the recommendations that will come out of the week-long deliberations.
I want to assure you all of my Ministry's commitment to move forward the deliberations and the recommendations of the Water and Environment Week, so that we can improve the water and environment sector, as well as accelerating Uganda's achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and National Development Plan 3 targets.
The day's speeches were concluded with the signing of a commemorative art piece as a sign of commitment to the overall objective of your week 2023 by different stakeholders and the giving of souvenir gifts to selected officials.
Right after us, and we
Later, the official launch transcended into a dialogue session. Keynote speakers and panelists, comprising of Uganda's Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water and Environment, Alfred Okot Okidi, the Chairperson of the Environment and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament, Honorable Emmanuel Otala, a representative from the Uganda Kingdom, and other representatives from the private sector, commenced the discussion on water and environment for climate-resilient development. Dialogue sessions continued on Monday through to Thursday with groups of keynote speakers and panelists expounding on 4 sub-themes, namely policy, legal and institutional frameworks for climate-resilient development, climate-resilient communities, ecosystems and infrastructure, capacity and partnerships for climate-resilient development, as well as innovative financing mechanisms. The sub-themes were designed to address issues and challenges in achieving sustainable development goals, including water, sanitation and pollution abatement in the wake of climate change, knowledge exchange and nature-based solutions for climate resilience, South-to-South partnerships, mainstreaming diversity, equity and inclusion across different geographies, sectors and communities.
So this gives you a feel of how the week has gone. Very, very compact. So I will summarize a few other issues related to the Uganda Water and Environment Week. So let me get the presentation. Just to give you a feel about the other activities which have taken place as part of the Uganda Water and Environment Week. We have had pre-event activities and activities which have taken place during the week. So on behalf of the technical committee, I ran through this. Again, we had activities going on in the whole country in 6 regional offices of the Ministry of Water and Environment from 28th February to 10th March, just before the main event. Of course, we are having a week-long event or activities. We had the opening ceremony and keynote presentations, as has been mentioned, but specifically the pre-event activities which took place involved a 320-kilometer walk lasting 11 days from Kingfisher Development Area in Kube District to the Ministry of Water and Environment, and the walk has interfaced with the various people along the way, including members of Parliament, and the walk ended at the Ministry here on the 10th March. We had regional youth debates in 5 regions, and these were concluded with a national youth debate which took place yesterday. And amongst us, we have students from secondary schools and universities who have been part of the debate, and will be awarding the winners as part of this closing ceremony. We had a number of community-based activities, cleanup exercises, restoration activities, the rest of the country. We had universities competing to solve water and environment problems through the hackathon. Again, we'll be awarding students who have won as part of the hackathon. We had a cleanup exercise around Ruzira here, the surroundings of the ministry, where we involved all the key stakeholders to participate in the cleanup exercise as a way of demonstrating the importance of living in a clean environment. We had a marathon in one of the regions in Fort Portal, but we also had a night run on 11th March, where we are running for conservation of Lake Victoria and the Nile. And we had prayers and pastoral letters issued by the religious institutions, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and the Orthodox Church, under the Uganda Joint Christian Council, issued pastoral letters, and some of them are in front of us. So again, the main event had parallel sessions, many parallel sessions. We had 6 trainings, the applied trainings. We had 34 scientific policy and practice papers presented by different experts in their fields. We had side events, 16 of them, where we had project launches, we had meetings, we had mentorship. We had ladies who have been mentored, 60 ladies who have been mentored over 6 months, and they graduated yesterday. We had 2 field visits today, we had a career talk for young professionals, and then overall we had over 2,000 people participating both physically and online, and we had the dialogues, overall 34 events taking place as part of the discussions. The theme for the Uganda Water and Environment Week has been Water and Environment for Climate Resilient Development. We had 4 sub-themes: policy, legal and institutional framework for climate resilient development, climate resilient communities, ecosystems and infrastructure, capacity and partnerships for climate resilient development, and finally, innovative financing mechanisms. So these have guided the discussions during the week and the pre-event. So what are the key messages that we are getting out of this week? Under policy, legal and institutional framework, it has been noted that the natural environment is key in strengthening resilience of the people, the ecosystems and infrastructure, that we need to put in place institutional and regulatory measures to enable that these resources are protected so that we can continue accessing these services. That we need to give priority to science for water secure world, that we need to invest in science for decision making so that we can have in place measures for helping us to mitigate and adapt impacts of climate change and improve resilience. We also noted that man was given authority, again this came from the religious institution, that man was given authority to manage the surrounding resources and live in harmony with these resources, and that Christians and indeed all believers must keep their promise and shouldn't change what God has created. And it was noted that those who destroy the environment are sinners and they will not go to heaven. It was also noted that the best strategy towards climate resilient development is community engagement, that we need to bring resilience to the people. They are the ones who are affected by climate change. They are the ones who feel the impact, but they also know what needs to be done to address these challenges. But specifically, it was noted that cultural institutions have a big role to play in this regard. That we should help customers and users of water to understand the policies for better regulation. Some of them don't understand what the policies and laws say about the use of the water, and also how to ensure that we manage these resources for the present and future generations. In terms of improving the resilience of the communities, the ecosystems and infrastructure, it was noted that there are many opportunities for partnerships and collaboration to protect and manage these resources and develop them sustainably, and that partnerships are paramount. That the government needs to work with the various stakeholders to ensure that these resources are protected as a means of building climate resilience. That we need to have access to indigenous knowledge, that the people have actually lived with these challenges, although the challenges are intensifying, but there is indigenous knowledge which we need to take advantage of, so working with the people is going to be very key as we move forward. That we need to understand our readiness to address these challenges, that oftentimes we find resources to address problems when they have happened. We need to invest in preparedness and also need to ensure that we have adequate human resources and technical capacity to be able to address these challenges. In terms of infrastructure, protecting infrastructure, that we need to give priority to climate proofing infrastructure, and also having sustainable green environments. We talked about nature-based solutions as a way of also ensuring that we improve the resilience of infrastructure, that we should develop facilitative standards to support transitioning to nature-based solutions. World over, nature-based solutions are taking center stage. We need to put in place standards to support nature-based solutions, and we can grow from where these have already been implemented and have shown good promise. The use of artificial intelligence, information and communication technology and tools, including cloud computing resources. Can you get the presentation? I think it has gone. So again, taking advantage of artificial intelligence and using cloud computing capacity to be able to manage our resources and ensure that we integrate nature-based solutions into our work. it was noted that in the next 20 years, the issue of wastewater and sanitation are going to be key, that we can use wastewater actually as a resource. Instead of looking at wastewater as a problem, we use wastewater to actually help us to address challenges so that we can ensure that we take advantage of these resources within the framework of the circular economy. Limited access to safe water and sanitation remains a challenge, but as we address challenges of safe water and sanitation, we need to look at water as a system. So the system perspective of the water cycle should actually be given attention, that you cannot have access to safe water without protecting where the water is coming from, but also without looking at where the wastewater is going, so that we can ensure that we address these challenges within the framework of the water cycle. And of course also recognizing that the environment is part of water. That sectors should not maintain the silos, but open the silos, the doors of the silos and the windows of the silos. We are in our silos, but our doors and windows are closed. So it was noted that we should open our windows and doors so that we can interface and improve coordination and cooperation with others. So cross-sector engagement remains a key priority. That we need to understand the political economy of things, that sometimes we are scratching the surface without understanding why certain things happen, and also the interests of the people and the stakeholders. So we need to give attention to this as we improve our coordination and collaboration, that we should strengthen coordination and collaboration at the national level, regional level, and local level, and we need to look deeper and see whether government institutions are coordinating, whether development partners are coordinating enough, whether civil society organizations are coordinating enough, so that we can ensure that we take advantage of these coordination mechanisms for climate resilient development, that we need to develop a framework for assessing the benefits and costs of collaboration and coordination. Oftentimes, we don't give attention to coordination and collaboration, and we don't allocate resources to them. So looking at the benefits and the costs is going to be key, so that we can allocate money to these important actions which oftentimes are not given attention. Again, within the government, they are looked as consumptive and they don't get allocations. So effective coordination requires assignment of roles and responsibilities of the different stakeholders. In terms of innovative financing, it was noted that 30% of Uganda's budget goes to debt financing. So ideally, we don't have much money to actually spend. Even when we are lobbying and advocating for more money for the sector, we need to know that a lot of money is actually going to pay for the debts, that we need to put in place policies, legal and institutional frameworks that can enable us to tap into innovative financing, that we cannot continue looking at traditional financing sources. It was also noted that many innovative financing options exist, but awareness of their existence is low, and also capacity to access them is very low. Examples were given about climate financing, that getting a project funded under, say, Green Climate Fund, you really take many years, and the capacity to prepare projects is very limited, so we may not access funds. It was also noted that we may be having, for example, funds in development banks, but many people don't know the existence of those funds, but also even how to access them. The other issue is that we need to explore citizen-led financing, that a lot can be done by working with the people and work with them to ensure that we put in place bankable projects so that we can sell them and ensure that we have co-management and co-ownership. Rather than taking the project to the people, we need a project designed by the people so that they are owned and managed collaboratively. That we need to build capacity and strengthen the country's ability to access and utilize available climate financing mechanisms. Again, examples were given, the carbon credit, the green bonds, and the funds. Many people don't know about these funds, but we don't have capacity to access them. That we need to improve the utilization and governance of existing and new funds. It was noted that if we do this, we're actually innovating, that the resources we have are not being utilized efficiently, and we need to improve that area of governance so that we can attract more funds. And we need to explore more the use of environmental instruments for resource mobilization. Polluter pays principle, the user pays, but also payment for ecosystem services could be vehicles through which we can mobilize funds. And finally, we need to make investments and borrowers bankable. That many of our investors and borrowers actually are not bankable and they cannot access credit from the banks. In terms of the partnerships, again, as you can see here, we have many partners that have supported the Uganda Water and Environment Week. It was recommended that we strengthen these partnerships and expand and get more partners. So on this note, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to request you to join me. Thank all of these partners, over 60 partners that have supported the Uganda Water and Environment Week and that have made this event happen. And finally, to acknowledge the National Organizing Committee, the management and staff of the Ministry of Water and Environment at various levels, the participants, the exhibitors, all sponsors and partners. Thank you very much.
I think we really need to give Dr. Callista another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So mine is very simple. Before Mildred begins asking the tough questions to our panelists, I wanted to, with the permission of the chair of the organizing committee, to recognize our key stakeholders who are here in this room, and allow me, with your permission, Permanent Secretary, begin with you, since you're representing the ministry and representing the ministers who are away at an emergency cabinet meeting. So the Honourable Minister, represented here by the Permanent Secretary, the Minister of Water and Environment, Alfred Okoto Kidi, the Deputy Ambassador EU to Uganda, His Excellency Guillaume Chafar, thank you very much for joining us. The Austrian Development Corporation, represented here, of course, by Dr. Roswith Kremser, thank you very much for joining us. The UNHCR country representative, Matthew Cransil, thank you very much for joining us. Please don't stop clapping. We need to recognize our partners, our dear friend and a key stakeholder here in the ministry, the Managing Director of the National Water and Sewage Corporation, Dr. Engineer Silva Mugisha. Representing here the Chair of the NPA, National Planning Authority, but also in her own right, Women's League Chair, our very own Lydia Wanyoto. Thank you very much for joining us. Also here with us from Rotary International, none other than the Honorable Dr. Mike Sevalu, who is here and also a panelist. We have several stakeholders, and among the panelists who are also with us is, but also joining us online, is Professor Stefan Olhenbroek, the Director of Hydrology Water World Meteorological Organization. Is online. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us. Please give him a round of applause so he can hear. And our very own Ms. Rose Kobsinje, Youth Climate Change Activist, who is also online. Let's give her another round of applause. We want, in a very special way, to recognize our key stakeholders in this room, the private sector who've been part of this Water Week, the civil society organizations, members of the academia who've been with us through the week, and the institutions and schools that are represented here. And allow me, in a very special way, to recognize these schools that represent the broader group of schools that have worked with the Ministry of Water. Maryhill High School from Barara, please stand for recognition. They're here in this room. We thank you so much for joining us. Lakeside Secondary School from Luzira, our neighbors here, please stand for recognition. Lakeside is there at the back. And Amos College School from Bukedia, please stand for recognition. So as you can see, please sit. You can see the schools, if we had asked all of them to join, then there would be no space for all of us who are seated in this room. And all of you, our stakeholders who are here, I know when Dr. Callista was mentioning the National Organizing Committee, you didn't ask the chair to stand. May I request Dr. Florence Grace Adongo to stand for recognition? And of course, we know Dr. Callista Ndimugaya, who is the chair of the technical committee. So ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us for this closing ceremony. We welcome our virtual audience who are online joining us. We have several colleagues, partners who are joining us via the digital platforms, and also those who are watching us via the live stream for UBC and NBS. May I now invite Mildred to come and invite her panelists. I will also be managing her time, but I'm also careful to note that we have an audience that may want to ask questions, and so we will open for plenary discussion a little later during the panel discussion. So you're welcome, Mildred.
Thank you very much, Morris, and definitely we'll make this panel as interactive as possible for those who are joining us online, but those who are joining us physically here. And without any further ado, just like we said, our TV time is not as elastic as we would expect. Allow me, in no particular order, invite our panelists. Some will be physical here and others will be joining us online. They always say ladies first unless when there is danger. So I will start with the lady and invite Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, who will also be representing the chairperson of the National Planning Authority, Professor Pamela Mbabazi. A round of applause for the ladies. Thank you very much, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, for joining us and for sparing time to be with us as well. We'll also have Dr. Silva Mjisha, who is the Managing Director of the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. I hope you've paid your bills. I hope the ministry has also paid the water bills due, or we will start some lobbying since Dr. Mjisha is here. Also join me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Honorable Dr. Mike Sevalu, District Governor, Rotary International. A big round of applause for him as he gets to join us on the stage right about now. Those hand claps seem like lunch was 10 hours ago, and yet it was just a few hours ago. Okay, we'll also be joined online by this social distancing. Do we still have COVID? Because I'm seeing typical social distancing here, but it's okay. You feel comfortable where you're seated. Online, we'll be joined by Rose Kobsinje, a youth climate change activist, because of course, looking at the demography of Uganda, we cannot be able to put aside the youth. Our median age is just 16. I normally love to remind people and ask them, from 16, count how many years you're past the median age of Uganda. So thank you so much for joining us. Rose, are you able to hear us?
Yes, but there's a bit of breaking, so we can't hear you very well.
All right, sorry. All right, Rose, the technical team will be sorting that out and we'll be joining you in a bit. And we also have Professor Stephen, who is the Director Hydrology, Water and Cryosphere at the World Meteorological Organization. Professor Stephen, are you with us? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'd like to start off with the panel here and start from Honorable Lydia Wanyoto. Like I said, it's always ladies first for me unless there is danger. So, Honorable Wanyoto, looking at the key theme for this year's International Water and Environment Week, if you can reflect on that particular theme and the key messages as have been communicated by Dr. Callist, what is your take on these particular issues?
The Uganda Water and Environment Week is back. Join us as we deliver value internally and externally by promoting a multinational integrated approach that links all sectors of water and environment, and also explore and deliberate on the water and environment resources to climate resilience. The week commemorates 3 sector days of World Water Day, World Forestry Day, and World Meteorological Day. The Uganda Water and Environment Week will take place from 12th to 17th March 2023 at the Ministry of Water and Environment headquarters in Luzira under the theme Water and Environment for Climate Resilient Development.
Uganda Water and Environment Week is organized by Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute with support from development partners.
Partners. So I would like to first of all thank all the partners that have joined this very noble cause, but also ask them to stay with us, but also to bring more, because a big agenda, this is the foundation of livelihood, of sustainability. So I think that we are getting it right when we talk about water and environment, but for climate resilience, and talk about our own survival. Uganda should be a good case study, because we've been given by nature a very beautiful country, a country whose environment and weather are naturally given to us. Our job should be much easier by just keeping it sustained, by not avoiding degradation, by managing not to pollute the environment which we already have as nature. We don't have to harness much, we just have to sustain what we have and then be able to be stable, we'll be able to survive, and we can be a good example. We can be a tourist country for good weather, for good environment. I thought that I should be able to summarize this, because for our own survival, the last 2 years made a very big statement about water and the environment. We could not survive COVID without washing our hands and keeping safe. Then we also had Ebola. Everything was circulating around washing hands and keeping health and drinking water and paying Dr. Mugisha's bills. He was able to come in and help us to survive COVID, because water was such a key ingredient to the survival of the last 2 years going forward. So I don't know how much time I have. I can speak until tomorrow.
I know. I'll give you 1 more minute just for that question before I go to the next speaker.
So I'm very excited to be here, that this conference was so timely, especially those of us that have been running the Women's Month, and which was also feeding into digital, that we are moving into the virtual world, into the revolution world. How are we going to ensure that we look into issues of water, environment, climate for resilient development in terms of the new normal? I'm happy that part of the panelists are virtual. So you see how we are going to get there and be able to share best practices and experiences in terms of climate change, and the campaign that works for everybody to survive, to have a good livelihood, but also to fight diseases that come with abuse of the environment and water.
Okay.
So I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Sebalu, partnerships are very key, and that, as Dr. Kalest has highlighted, and of course he was also talking about alternative or innovative financing, which I think the Rotary International comes in, philanthropic work and a lot of that. How much more can we build on these partnerships, and also what this means to Rotary International, for example, when we're talking about water and environment for climate resilient development, because we still need our environment.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the convener and the organizers for having given us an opportunity as a strategic stakeholder in this space to participate. Definitely, this is an area of interest for Rotary. This very month, the month of March, in terms of Rotary, is a month where we honor, dedicate our activities at water and sanitation. So it is a water and sanitation thematic month of Rotary International. Rotary is made up of professional leaders, leaders in the professional space, leaders in the business space, and leaders in the community space. And those come together to do good in the world. And for you to appreciate better the interventions that Rotary does make in these aspects of life, it comes from the new vision statement of Rotary that states that together we see a world where people unite and take action to cause lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And the way we are in the room, even those online, we've come together to unite and take action to cause lasting change with a view of water and sanitation as well as the environment. And for that to be appreciated even better, you need to look at the 7 areas of focus of Rotary. And these are the areas where we make interventions through impactful, life-changing projects. And these include, among the following: 1, we have peace and conflict resolution. We have basic education and literacy. We have disease prevention and treatment. We have economic and community development. We have water and sanitation. We have environment. Now those 2, which are the reason that we are here, which are the reason that we have a whole week of reflection, are part of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary. And more importantly, because it is about the livelihood of the people, we talk of doing good in the world. You'll appreciate that water is central in ensuring that we are able to achieve the rest. Because with the peace and conflict resolution, definitely shortage of water is a big issue. If someone is talking about the next item that can easily create a crisis in the world, it is water.
Yep.
And therefore managing it, having it equitably shared, having it good in terms of quality is something that we take seriously. Water is central to disease prevention and treatment. Water is central to water and sanitation, because then it is the reason that we are able to move. So you find that our work, which is aimed at doing good in the world, through the 7 areas of focus, really puts a lot of emphasis on water. But we've also been able, as Rotary International, which is made up of 1.2 million people across the world, and over 40,000 clubs across, and over 500 districts spread in different jurisdictions. We do have in Uganda over 200 Rotary clubs in the 2 districts that make up Uganda. That is District 9213 and District 9214. We have about over 5,000 Rotarians within the country, and in all clubs have projects to do with water and sanitation.
Yes.
And we also have a big project, a big program with USAID, Rotary project and program, where we are handling 44 schools across the country, where we are handling 10 health centers, and where we are operating in 20 districts. And essentially, we have it running, and $2 million has been set aside from Rotary International. And even within Uganda, over 200,000 has been raised by Rotarians of Uganda through voluntary support. And we do have very many projects that we do implement and undertake across the entire country, supported by the Rotary Foundation, which is the charity arm of Rotary International, and where people make voluntary contribution to that fund in order to do good in the world. So we are very relevant stakeholders, and our presence is not by accident. It's most desirable, necessary, and relevant.
And a round of applause for that work that is being done by it could be a bit of silent work, but it is actually happening and it is changing lives. I want to go to Kopsinje Rose, who is online with us. The role of the youth is very, very important and they cannot be left aside. It's not the time to plan for them, but to plan with the youth, because Uganda is one of the youngest populations in the world. Rose, what does this year's theme for the Water Week mean to you as a young person, and what more needs to be done to ensure that youth are actually engaged in these activities, and your take on what your role is in water and environment?
Thank you so much, Mildred and everyone. First of all, let me congratulate the ministry and all the partners for holding such a successful Water Environment Week. I remember my first Water and Environment Week that I attended was in 2019. I think that was the second one. And I remember, making follow-ups with the organizers that we needed more youth spaces. And I'm happy this time that there have been massive spaces for young people, from the debates with partnership with Youth Go Green. I'm also part of Youth Go Green. And I mean, I'm really happy about the progress so far. But as the youth climate movement and the women climate movement in Uganda, we, as you said, Mildred, we would like to sit on the same tables with the ministry and all partners involved to find solutions to the environmental issues, from degradation, wetland degradation, forest deforestation, water pollution. Like I've said before, that when you look at Uganda's values as exhibited in the national anthem, we are talking about fertile soils, we are talking about the good weather, and once we can't have those ones, then what is Uganda? What is Uganda without the beautiful nature? So the youth climate movement in Uganda is ready to work, sit on the same tables with our policymakers, with partners, to design solutions. We've taken up especially the role on raising climate change awareness, especially in schools and in local communities. And one of our demands that we'd like to work with the ministry and the government through the Water Week and other plans and other programs, we want to push for a review in the curriculum, the national curriculum, to include climate education as part of the curriculum, from pre-primary to primary to secondary to tertiary colleges and universities. And that is why you see with Youth Go Green taking up the partnership in taking the debates across the country. That is when we're actually raising climate change education and raising awareness. And we have different campaigns at this time as the Youth Climate Movement, because you understand we represent the young people, the children, people who have not yet been born, and we think it is our responsibility, because in a few years, the youngest will be questioning our generation. What did you do when our environment was getting destroyed like that? You look in Kampala, plastics everywhere. And reflecting back to this year's theme, and especially on capacity building, I think it's time to have more private sector. This is not name calling, but I would like to see more private sector. Coca-Cola on board, one of the big private sector, the Madivani, Reham, MTN on board next year, to come and share with us what strategies do they have to protect the environment, to curb plastic pollution, and because our role as the youth, we're there to hold our leaders accountable. We are there to provide solutions. We are there to work with everyone. So we want to see more private sector engagement in the Water Week. But also, again, back to capacity building, the young generation is the one that is going to take up the roles right now. In a few years in the government, or even now, we want to see more young people in the ministry. And really thankful of the program with the Uganda Water Resources Institute and National Water and Sewerage Corporation for the young professionals. So we are seeing more young people going to take up positions. So we need that capacity. We need capacity to understand, for example, the Climate Change Act, the National Climate Adaptation Plans. We need to know more about negotiations. And for that, I would want to see how does the Uganda Water and Environment Week connect to other sectors, connect to other events, connect to other programs, including like the climate summits, which happen annually. And this year, COP28 is going to be in UAE. How does that connect to COP28? So can we have youth negotiators, national youth negotiators, trained as part of the negotiators and also part of these negotiations and making decisions? And in terms of, the activities, they're so exciting, and especially the decentralization at the regional levels and local government levels. I think that makes the impact even more distributed. And it would be interesting to see, maybe next year there will be a Uganda Water Week forest. Trees have been planted all over. That is very wonderful. The walks and marathons are very important, but something tangible, something historical that we can always look at may also be really important. And the young people are willing to come and volunteer and do the massive tree planting. And maybe with time, we can also have like more funds to have a fund for young people to implement the projects at grassroots level.
Okay.
So for young people, for children, for women, and when we're talking about water, as the first speaker mentioned, and the second speaker, you cannot talk about water and environment and climate change without talking about girls, women, the disabled people. We usually say in the climate movement that the climate crisis is a gender crisis, and is a health crisis. So these two, the interconnection between climate change and other sectors is immense. And I would like to ask everyone who is listening, everyone who is watching, to go and find ways how you can integrate protecting and restoring our environment in your work. The environment is interconnected with everything. Let it be health, if you're a doctor, let it be if you're an accountant. You have a way to integrate environmental protection into your works. Go and do that. For the young people watching there, continue holding everyone accountable, continue knocking on the doors of the ministry. They have programs. We need to follow up and read and knock on their doors so that we are part of their programs. And the ministry and the government, please, we're here to work with you. We're not here to fight. This is not a fight against the leaders. It's a fight to protect our land, our nature, our forests, our water. And lastly, I should also say that I'm happy to help. For example, today, after this, I have a Twitter space on water and migration, how the water crisis is causing migration in Africa. So let's mobilize, let's organize, and let's raise awareness all through. Let's innovate. There's the startup space is growing. Find solutions on cutting carbon emissions, on solving the plastic problem, and the opportunities. There are funds online. You're just a click on Google away to find some opportunities. But of course, encouraging also finding opportunities from our national and local governments. Thank you. Back to you, Mildred.
Okay, thank you very much, Rose. A round of applause for the ideas that Rose did raise. And she talked about the youth knocking on the doors of government and all the other sector players. And I think I will also use what Dr. Kale said. Please keep the doors and windows open so these youth can be able to go through, that while they knock, they're able to access. Let me go to Professor Stephen. When we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, I think they all weave into environment. Like Rose says, everything is interconnected to the environment and water. All the Sustainable Development Goals. And as an organization that deals with the climate, an organization that deals with the environment, what does this year's theme mean for you? And earlier on, Dr. Carles did read to us the key take-home. How do these apply to the work that is supposed to be done in protecting the environment and our water resources?
Thank you, moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I would really be in Uganda at this very moment. It's such a pity to be here in Geneva and Europe instead of being with you. I have such good memories from meetings in Entebbe, but also having one time I had a PhD student with Makerere University, which was really a very interesting work. Thank you for your question. If I may. And one more point, I really like the video, and my friend Dr. Kallis shared the key messages just before, so I had a chance to really think about them a little bit, so that's very good. And I feel the way this is organized and having a video ready at the closing ceremony is just outstanding. So it shows people have been working very hard the last day, so pity that I only can follow remotely. The World Meteorological Organization, the organization which I'm serving since less than a year, is a specialized UN agency. Obviously, the name says that it deals with the meteorology, so with the weather, but also in a wider sense with the climate. So climatology is a very important term. So it's weather, climate, or the long-term prediction, long-term developments of the climatological variables and the climate itself. As well as water. I happen to be the director of hydrology, water, and cryosphere. So water is very important. It's a growing topic, growing of importance also the World Meteorological Organization. That the weather, the climate, and the water, that there are multiple linkages to environment. I don't think I need to explain this to this very knowledgeable audience, so therefore I can skip that. What we do at the WMO, to answer your question and making the link to the messages, we do a lot in kind of supporting, facilitating monitoring, so data collection, but also data management, sharing the data, sharing it within countries, helping, supporting in a structured way, archiving, managing all the data to make it accessible for the right users. Ideally also sharing it between countries, which is a bit easier in meteorology and a bit more complicated in hydrology, I need to say. Furthermore, we work towards always with the members of WMO, the national meteorological and hydrological services, and in close collaboration with the members, for the members, through the members, we support also in hydrology science development, how knowledge of understanding hydrological systems, as Dr. Kallis was explaining it earlier, how can we support this by the best hydrometeorological data, how this can then support hydropower development in a sustainable way, economic development, water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus thinking, kind of this interdependency, which you as a moderator just alluded to. So we try to provide the necessary data together with many partners and colleagues and the members. We try to really understand these systems through better monitoring, through better modeling, through better forecasting, and then making these better predictions to support society and do that in a sustainable way. So this is roughly what we do. I like the summary of the key messages, and for me, I used to work a little bit also on quite a bit on nature-based solutions as a professor and with colleagues, including students from Uganda. But also I found the statement on the golden age of wastewater quite striking. I hope it's true. And I think since a number of years we have been advocating that wastewater should not be seen as a nuisance, but it should be seen as a resource to really support economic development while at the same time supporting the integrity of nature. And so it's a really it's part of a solution, as it was said before. I found it quite interesting, so I hope it's right, and I hope for this golden age. But this is not necessarily the field where WMO works a bit. We work on water quality, but we're not wastewater experts, I need to say. If I may, dear moderator, do you have another 1 or 2 minutes to refer to one recent development which we are very busy with setting this up in Uganda at this moment? I said we work a lot on water quantity, water quality as well, but mainly on water quantity issues, and there floods and droughts are absolutely critical. You might have heard about the call of the UN Secretary General, Guterres, saying that by 2027, by end of 2027, so in 5 years from now, in less than 5 years from now, everyone around the world should be covered by an early warning system. Because it's unbelievable how much damage we have, and early warning system can really help strengthening us. strengthening society, strengthening the resilience of society. And in all your write-up, you often strengthen the climate resilient development, and therefore having early warning systems, particularly about floods and droughts, that's the little part where I'm involved in, not so little, I hope, is absolutely critical for society development. So better warnings, better end-to-end forecast.
Professor, did we lose you? All right. We'll be getting back to Professor Stephen. You're back? Okay. Okay.
Service?
We had lost you.
Yeah, am I too?
Go ahead, Professor. We had lost you.
I hope you can hear me. I was talking about early warning systems for all. I hope you heard that. We're working on, particularly working on early warning for floods and droughts, which is so critical. Therefore, we start a new program in close collaboration, obviously, with the country representations, the Hydrometeorological Service in Uganda, as well as South Sudan, Sudan, and Ethiopia. So it's a regional project, 4 countries. As a hydrologist, I think it's clear that we not only can look at Uganda, we have to look at the whole Lake Victoria in that respect, because it's so critical from a floods and droughts point of view. But we will not only focus on the Nile as the main stem, but also looking at tributary smaller basins where different flood generation mechanisms are happening. So that's a new program we start, supported by Dutch funding, which is on the last time of approval. But next week we have this big water conference in New York, and I understand it will be announced there.
Okay, I think we lost Professor Stephen.
So very much looking forward to end. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, you're back. I will give you another minute to just conclude. I'll be getting back to you.
Okay. This new program is exciting. It's close collaboration with Uganda, close collaboration with the neighboring countries, very much looking forward that we jointly understand the risks, but also develop systems that help us predicting, warning at a very short time scale for floods, at a short time scale of hours, but also longer time scales for riverine flooding and for droughts at the regional scale. So I think it's an exciting program which we hopefully set up in the next 5 years to come to really strengthen the resilience of Uganda. Do we have a second round or so?
We will definitely be getting, we'll be getting back to you, Professor. I'll be coming back to you. Let's get back to Dr. Mjisha here, who is responsible. If you want to see riots in any suburb or any place, let there be a water shortage, and there shall be a riot. So, Dr. Mjisha, how relevant are some of these key take-homes and messages that have come through from the week-long activities for an institution like National Water and Sewerage Corporation, and how this year's theme, Water and Environment for Climate Resilient Development, augur with your mission, your vision as National Water?
Thank you very much, Mildred. I want to thank my fellow panelists here. These are my friends. Thank you for paying your water bills. Now, Mildred.
Yes.
First of all, these are very good and relevant messages. The danger is they call them take-homes. These are not take-homes, these are take-knows. We should know them.
Okay.
I wouldn't take them home, I would just know them. The reason being that next year they will change. This conference or this week was dominated by researchers and professors, and these people are experts in finding new knowledge. So next year you will find another set of take-homes, but they are definitely very, very relevant. Now, for me, my interest, Mildred, would be on what are the constants. The constant is that water and sanitation is essential for improved health and economic development. That is essential, and that is a constant. It will always be a constant. And therefore, we need to develop continuous learning mindset. We need to learn every day, so that we are able to adapt to all the changing challenges that are bound to happen. At National Water, we like the concept of self-help. We like to rely on ourselves to do things. And if we are to get anybody else, it comes to augment what we are doing. And therefore, what we would be interested in as National Water is data that is going to help us carry out continuous problem analysis, continuous learning, and continuous improvement. Because really, the problems that have brought us to this situation are known. We have cut forests, there are no forests. So we need to plant forests again. I want to challenge everybody who is here. How has this helped you to plant forests?
Good question.
We need to restore the wetlands, which have been destroyed. So how has this helped you to restore wetlands? We need to address the issues of utility inefficiencies, because there is a lot of resilience you build by enhancing utility efficiency. We need to have a mastery of resilience engineering solutions. If you are affected by climate change, what are the other alternatives to help you to build resilience? So, and these are not things that you need to go to Europe to learn. You don't need to go to Europe or America to learn that the forests have been cut. You don't need to go anywhere else to learn that the wetlands have been encroached. So I would have loved to see much more effort in practical actions to tackle these issues. I want to thank the PS because I've seen him severally in several places trying to see how wetlands can be restored. So if we are really to be very relevant to this issue, we need to address these practical issues. The youth representative has raised very important things, and these are practical steps she was raising. How do we involve the youth practically? Because at National Water, we have involved them through the young water professionals. We have involved them through the school water and sanitation clubs, so that they know these issues, because tomorrow when we are not here, our successors will be these youth. And as I said, tree planting and wetland restoration, alternative climate change resilience infrastructure, and then the role of digital technologies which has come. And that's why these youth are very, very important, because they are the experts in use of digital technologies. The biggest problem we have here is actually social media. How is this going to be addressed to enhance climate change mitigation? So these are some of the issues I thought we would put on the table to enhance these key messages which have come out and which have really said they are very good messages. But my excitement about them is that tomorrow they will change, and we need to keep adapting them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Key aspect there of adaptability, the changing times and how you change. They normally say if you don't want to change, change will change you. It is the only thing that will remain constant. I mean, it will keep evolving every other time. Now, before we go to our next round of questions to the panel, I am going to request that I give audience to a few questions also coming in from online. So if we get those, Morris, please make sure that you can be able to give them to me. So kindly, you will raise your hand, be as brief and precise as possible. There is just one right there, Morris. So I'll take about 3 to 5 questions for now. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You can introduce yourself, please.
Bright Angela is my name. I'm a student of Finn's Medical University. I don't know exactly to whom I should give this question, but I'm grateful for the golden opportunity. It will only be golden when it goes to the right people and it's put in practice. I want to touch at the epicenter of this problem. For the last 90 years, we have seen the population of the world grow beyond 2/3, 5 billion people. And this has translated to how much these people depend on the ecosystems and natural resources. And the result of the problem has been that the more the population grows, the more vulnerable our environments, water systems, and natural resources become. Uganda is no exceptional. We are having our populations grow. And this observation gives us a guarantee that we have two solutions at hand. You either reduce the populations or you look at how to control them, or else you reduce the dependence of the populations on the natural systems. So truly going maybe to Honorable Lydia, who is from National Planning maybe, please tell me what strategies do you have to reduce either and control the population growth, or else to reduce the dependency of our populations entirely on the natural systems? Why can't we do that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There was a hand right there, Morris, as you
There's
go
one
at
here?
it. Yes.
All right, as I move there, I noted you forgot to mention that Dr. Engineer Silva Mugisha was re-elected the president of the Africa Water Association.
Oh, yes. Congratulations once again.
AFWA, and also he managed to get Uganda to host again the water conference in 2024. So we want to thank you, sir, for pushing the water agenda.
Thank you, and my question goes to Honorable Lydia and Dr. Silva Mugisha. We would want to understand what strategies do you have on bringing linkages and partnerships that will build sustainable solutions. For example, especially around financing models, financing that is sustainable, and looking at engaging, for example, financial institutions, insurance companies, to develop products that suit the needs and demands of the people, especially the youth and women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Morris, I will kindly request we first move to this side. I had a gentleman right
I'll
here.
come back. There were two hands here. I see
Okay.
Edwin and I see someone here. I'll come. Any other person on this side?
Right
We don't
here,
want.
right here, right at your front, Morris.
I don't want to leave out this category.
Thank you very much. My name is Bwango Apuldi. I'm the chairperson of Uganda National Meteorological Authority Board. Our business is to provide weather and climate information to support the various socio-economic sectors. And we do this in a number of ways. We provide daily forecast, 10-day forecast, seasonal forecast. Our last forecast was issued 2 weeks ago on 1st March. Predicting the onset of the rainy season, which is now on. And many of you must have seen the floods that hit various parts of Kampala in the last 2 days. My question is, mine is just a general comment, but targeting the governor of Rotary and the youth climate activist, but to also I'm sure it will also appeal to the other panelists, Madam Wanyoto and Dr. Mugisha. First of all, I would also like to congratulate the ministry, PS, and the technical team of the Ministry of Water for organizing this Uganda Water and Environment Week, which has now highlighted a number of issues, including partnerships. The partnerships have been reflected as key for us to deal with this monster of water shortages, climate change impacts, and environmental degradation. So for us, our business is generally every day we deal with partners across the various sectors. And it's because our business is not affected by boundaries. So for us, we need partnerships in order to survive. And for Rotary, I am really impressed by especially your four-way test, which appeals to various, it's a fair test, so to speak. You first of all ask, is it fair? Does it bring benefits to all? Will it bring goodwill and so on? So I would like to enlist you actually as our partners in the meteorological business to raise awareness, to do capacity building using your networks. And we'll approach you at some point with details and probably work out modalities. But your vision really captivates the essence of partnerships.
Okay.
And as for the youths, again, these are a natural pool that we can tap because they have energy, they have passion, and we can use them in raising awareness. They are digital, and we already are dealing with schools in this country. We do a program called popularization of meteorology in schools. So we go to schools, tell them about climate change, tell them about the impacts of weather. And the impacts of weather and climate change, as we see now, is the extreme climate events, floods, droughts, landslides that affect us. So, and these are a constant. They'll happen again next year, and the other year, and the other year. So we need partnerships to deal with them across. So the message essentially is really I would like to build these partnerships with the youth climate movement as well as with the Rotarian, and we'll get back to you for details. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Apuli. We'll go to the lady, and I think Apuli sticks to what Professor Stephen talked about, the early warnings. Yes.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm Proskovia Nanyonjo Vikman from Uganda Kingdom. I want to appreciate the young lady for raising the issue on the negotiations. But also I want to send the same question to her. How ready are the young people to enter this negotiation space? And the other question is both for Dr. Mugisha and also the NPA representative, Honorable Wanyoto. I think we have a problem, and the National Water Authority gentleman just mentioned that certain things we don't need to go elsewhere to benchmark. We can find solutions.
Sure.
Right now, we're talking of floods. Some of these are self-made. Dumping is everywhere. What are we doing? Whether it's the national water, because you also use the channels to bring the water, or the planning authority, the urban authority are missing here. When do we get this actualized, and when does it stop?
Okay.
The other one is how do we get integrated planning so that we don't have, today UNRWA is having the road, the environmentalists have planted trees, 2 years later, all the trees are gone and nobody tells you why.
Okay.
We had Chogam, people planted, money went. Can you show me what Chogam produced? I submit.
Thank you very much, Proskovia, and I think that's very key, integrated planning. You have a road, the next day the telcos are cutting through the road to be able to lay their cables.
Mildred, I'm hoping at some point that when the PS speaks, he'll speak to these conversations. We had on Wednesday a conversation on collaboration, and it's very critical in the, based on what she's saying, how are the different stakeholders talking together, intergovernment, interministry, including civil society, to be able to deliver the common good that we are discussing here. And we had an extensive discussion on it with a clear way forward, which the ministry will of course be sharing with all stakeholders. Edwin?
Okay.
Thank you, Morris. Simple question going to Rose. Thank you so much for the presentation. What innovation, what do you think partners or government could better involve and engage young people, especially in the Water and Environment Week? What kind of innovation, what kind of capacity building do you want to see being done by the ministry and other government partners to ensure that at least quite a number of young people get involved in all these, especially youth that are outside Kampala? Thank you.
All right, I think we'll get just two more, Morris, before we get to close off the session for now.
There are several hands up, so I'll be careful.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Viaranga Crispus. I work with Munansi Green Initiative, a youth-led NGO from Mobende, an affiliate of Million Trees International. So my question goes to the elephant in the room, Mr. Dr. Mugisha. The problem
I didn't
is
know
about
he was the elephant, but please go ahead.
the problem is about communities, and the biggest problem is about water bills, whereby the water prices are really high. So my question is, under the research that we have done as an organization, one of the factors is the resources needed to get this water to the people, which is the energy. And National Water is saying that the energy is expensive. The energy they're using to get the water to the people is really expensive. So is there any strategy that National Water is intending or preparing to use to work with organizations like Umeme in order to make these services really cheap in a way that they can create alternative sources like solar that can be pumped into the electricity grid, and then this is making the water supply really cheap. And also, there's also another elephant in the room that we talked about, the nuisance of the would-be water that we are calling wastewater. So, like runoff water from floods, water from the mountains, glaciers of Renzoli. How is National Water working to see how we can harvest and make this water also accessible to the people, and it can be put into the grid? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Morris. The elephant has heard, and we will move the elephant.
If you can keep it short, I also get the other gentleman. So I'll come back, sir, in the next round. Here you go.
Thank you so much. My name is Akaranao Andrew, the founding director at Agrimark Investments Uganda Limited, Chagego District. There is a saying that when the elders lose vision, the youth lose direction. Maybe we didn't see this coming. I'm going to majorly focus on plastics and the financial sector. During our days back, when we saw plastics come, we thought that maybe they have rescued us the burden of drinking from the shops and leave the glass bottles there, and we thought we would take these homes, but they are becoming now a problem to the community. We are only focusing on plastic disposal and whatever the dangers it is bringing. But this goes to everyone, the stakeholders. There are discussions that are happening between the manufacturing companies that are making these plastic bottles, the Renzoris, the Coca-Colas, the Reham, and everyone that are making these. And actually, if these people are paying high taxes to the government, it means they're a source of income and they are building the country financially. And if therefore they are building the country financially through taxes, are there other means we are going to provide them, or other solutions we are going to provide to make sure that these taxes keep coming and plastic wastes are diminished? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I know I was part of the last week, Water Environment Week, and we had the private sector here, all the bottling companies, especially the ones in the with Waraji and water, and we had a way forward, and I'm hoping Dr. Kalisti is tracking the conversation we had, and there are clear timelines.
Thank you.
The TV audience is requesting if you could stand, if that is okay with you, so they can be able to capture you well.
I am called Sam Chijambu from the private sector. My question goes to the youth leader. You want more places on the tables. How have you prepared or guided your fellow youth to access funded government programs like Youth Livelihood and yoga and PDM opportunities that can pour into raising for youth finances to drive climate and environmental conservation programs by yourselves and other narratives as they come and go, so that you may prove yourselves capable to deserve those places?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I think Morris will first of all have to stop it at that. The questions seem many, but I will request that our panelists will use the shortest of time possible to answer this. We'll start with the elephant in the room. Pun intended. Dr. Mjisha, we'll start with your questions.
Thank you very much. The one who used the description of an elephant in the room.
I wish you were the biggest in the room. That would define it better.
I don't know what he was meaning. He called himself a researcher, but I wish he had done proper research. Because the water bills, this is the breakdown of the tariff. The commercial tariff is 100 shillings per jerrycan. The domestic tariff is 86 shillings per jerrycan, including everything, service fee, taxes. The industrial is 58 shillings per jerrycan. The PSP, if you are a low income earner, is 25. Now, for you who takes beer, I know you take beer, of about 5,000. That is about 60 jerrycans of water for domestic beer. So if the opportunity cost of a half liter of beer gives you 80 jerrycans of water and you say water is expensive and beer is not expensive, I don't know what you are talking about. But maybe you intended to say that the price could be lower. Maybe that is what you are trying to raise. And you raised a very important observation that electricity is expensive. Yes, electricity is expensive, but it's a very external issue for national water. We don't determine power bills, power costs, and that's a different sector. Now, when and we need power to be able to pump water and distribute it to people. So I would really kindly advise you to engage the power sector to reduce bills. Once they reduce bills, with our indexation formula, the tariff will definitely be lower. And my PS knows that. He knows that we have an indexation formula. If the power bills go down, the costs go down. Now, maybe what he also wanted to mean is that we could use solar. Yes, we can use solar, and that is the direction we are taking, of using solar, especially for small systems. And if we do groundbreaking there, then that will help us to reduce the cost of water. Because currently, the cost of water is about 70 shillings per jerrycan, which means the tariff we have subsidizes low-income earners and industries. So these industry people here, their tariff is actually below the production cost. So where would you find the most convenient tariff like national water's tariff? And then he made a very important observation that we must harvest runoff. I think that is something we can look at. But as far as we are concerned, we get water, we either use surface water or underground water through motorized boreholes. So this runoff which you see actually ends up to the sources which we are using. So I think the issue needs to be addressed more to the National Forest Authority to plant more forests so that this runoff does not instead lead into siltation, but leads into recharge of our surface water sources in a proper way.
Okay.
There was a question on innovative financing, which I think was a very good question. That is an issue we address very seriously as a national water, and it has a lot of economics in it, because even the other financing you see, which appears to be very cheap on the face value, the interest rate is cheap, but the cost of using it is very high. You get it, it comes with all sorts of conditionalities. Which contractor you should use, which what. So eventually, the money which came with a tag of low interest becomes very expensive because of inbuilt transfer pricing. So we are trying to explore it much further. We have even explored how we can access market financing on our own, and we found out that by using our own internal design capabilities we have in the organization, and by using Ugandan contractors, we've been able to bring the cost of investment down, and therefore this market financing you get presumably at a higher interest rate ends up being cheaper in terms of the inputs you use to deliver results. So that is a very good line, I think, which we should explore, and which I found in the take-home messages, which I think we can easily use.
And Doctor, as you wrap up the other few questions, please.
Then there was an issue of self-made problems. I entirely buy into what you are saying. I think these are issues we can address. These are issues we don't need to go to America or to China for benchmarking. These are issues we need to really tackle by our own selves and address them. Like dumping. You don't want to go anywhere to solve the issue of dumping. You just simply stop dumping, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. To you, Honorable Wanyoto, in the shortest time, but make sure that those issues are answered.
Thank you, distinguished delegates, and for listening to us and asking questions. That means that we are interacting. There is a good level of engagement, given it's a Friday afternoon, like I said earlier. The issue of population growth, in our humble opinion, is that Uganda is blessed to have one of the youngest populations in the sub-Saharan Africa, but also really Africa. And the biggest planning campaign is how we can leverage the young age, the strength, the biology, but also the skills that come with new innovations, including information technology. So I wanted to say that with science and technology, the way we want to embrace it will give us an opportunity to harness the environment, but also to be able to maximize productivity, creativity, and innovation away from degrading the environment. I want to submit that abusing the environment, degrading it, has really nothing to do with the big population. It has much to do with the quality of the population that we have. So we have to up our game in terms of building skills, empowering the population to be able to engage, harness the environment, and not abuse it. Because if they don't have skills, that's when they will now go and cut down the trees, burn the forests. But if we build, equip, and skill the population, they will be able to harness, sustain, and even improve the climate and the environment. So a few of the most important government interventions and policy dimension that people may not actually realize we are dealing by harnessing the environment is to have the UPE program, the universal primary education, so that we get the young people off the natural setting to classrooms, to go to school to grow skills, so that everybody has an education or a skill to survive on, but not the environment only. And if you are going to use the land and the environment and the water, you are able to use in a professional manner, in a manner that is more skilled than the traditional one that is causing soil erosion. I come from a community that suffers the environmental hazards. I come from Bugisu. You hear that every year we have mudslides in Vududa and the neighboring areas. That's not very good news for my community, because we lose people and we also lose a good environment. We need to get back to survive the environment and also be able to harness and be innovative, but using scientific methods. So I wanted to say that when you get, for example, girls longer in school, that means that you don't have anybody producing for you at the early age of 14 and 13. So when we have our game on education, you'll have this young girl from my community finish her education maybe earliest at the age of 23 through tertiary institutions, and by the time she has done with school, she has some level of skill. She will not climb the mountains or the slopes to go and till the land, or by that time she will not have had 11, 12 children who must survive on a small garden, which is now degraded. So the delaying of fertility by having girl children in school is helping us to be able to build for the future, but to have skilled women and men who will be able to have children by choice, not children by chance, or not children by fertility. So I hope I've been able to answer this. So education is so key, skills building is very key, and being able to go out with a campaign to grow forests like Dr. Mugisha is saying. This is not a campaign for only national planning, National Forest Authority, it is for all Ugandans, for everybody. Why don't you celebrate your birthdays by planting a tree? Why don't you celebrate your marital days by planting trees? I come from another community, culturally we circumcise the males every even year. Why don't you plant trees in the old year, so that for every boy that we circumcise, we say, for this one we planted 10 trees, so that we are able to get back the environment that then will work for the future of our country. And finally, the government's policy and campaign is that we are going science and technology. Why? Because the future is tech, so that we are innovative and we get off the land and be able to use other skills to survive.
Okay. As you
Thank
close
you.
in. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the questions. I'll come to you. Rose, you had a few questions coming in, especially how ready you are as young people to get on the negotiating table. I request that you use the shortest time to answer those, and you could as well give us your closing remarks.
Thank you, Mildred, and thanks for the question that came in. And what I want to assure you is that young people are ready. We are more than ready to take up opportunities, and we've been looking for opportunities. We are still looking for opportunities. We just need support. We just need to work with all partners and the government and policymakers as collaborators. And for example, I always say that the challenge with the cultural kind of context is that in the African culture, generally, usually it's the old people that talk and they make the young people to shut up. Just sit down and listen. What do you know? We need to dismantle that system. We are in a new generation. We are facing different challenges compared to the challenges that were faced a few decades ago and generations ago. If you are solving the current generation's problems, including climate change, then probably you are not on the front line like the young people and the women and the children are. So that's why we need to be part of the problem solvers and part of identifying the challenges and solutions. And the other thing I wanted to also answer was Edwin's question on young people engagement in the National Water, in the Environment Week. I think what we need to do right now, we understand that the NOC has actually put across the board, the youth board, and what we need is support from the partners. We need to have like a fund that could actually continue the work that young people are doing, from tree planting, from debates, from rising climate change awareness, as part of the Climate Week, as part of the Water Week, Water and Environment Week, but also beyond that. So the young people, the climate movement in Uganda is stronger than ever. We have different activists, we have different organizations from Youth Go Green, Rise Up Movement, Fridays for Future to mention but a few. We are ready to take up these spaces. And the other thing I also wanted to mention was today it's a countdown, 15 days to the launch of the NEMA penalty scheme on environmental breaches. I'm just warning everyone here, if you're not ready to pay, for those penalty breaches by just throwing your waste everywhere, littering, please stop before that happens. From the 1st of April, it's not Fool's Day. So if you don't have the money to pay for that penalty and you continue littering and you continue drinking your water and throwing garbage out of your beautiful cars, oh, please don't. And also I wanted also to add on that this sector on environment and water concerns all of us, as I had already mentioned. We know it's not a role, it's not completely up to individuals, but individuals have a role to play. Behavior change, mindset change is very key, and that is why we need programs. Young people are already leading these programs, but we need support from the government and other sectors. And of course, not forgetting this is the UN decade of ecosystem restoration. What are we all doing on that? I always carry my water bottle. I just refuel, rarely buy bottled water. I can't say I never buy bottled water, but I rarely do that. I walk with my bag that I use to do my shopping. So such small changes could be also helpful, but it's not the main, those small changes will not change the whole system. And that is why the implementation of policies and acts and legal frameworks need to happen. And yesterday I was speaking somewhere and I mentioned that we need to come to NEMA ministry. Why is it that implementation, there's a very big disconnect between the policies on paper and implementation, and how can the young people help to ensure this implementation happens? And one thing I also recommended is like, let all of us be stewards of the environment. You see someone littering, you see an organization throwing effluents all over in the wetland and everywhere, you see they're laying gravel in the wetland, just inform NEMA, just inform the environmental police, the social media, let's use our social media to reach as many people as we can, but also we need to go back to the grassroots. And I'll be really interested to see next year. I hope next year I'll be able to attend in person, seeing more grassroots people, women groups in the villages there, coming, being part of the Water Week and showcasing their work, because they're the ones that are at the front line of the climate crisis. So let's use our social media, let's use all the digital tools that we have. I use Twitter most of the times, and NEMA is always on Twitter, trying to follow up on the cases that people report. And lastly, I would also want to say that, just to add on the population, I have an unpopular opinion. Population is not the problem. It's the lifestyles. If you look at an average person in Uganda and their consumption level compared to people in the US, you understand that population is not the main problem. So it's the lifestyles, it's the dysfunctional systems, the failure in policy implementation. But again, I cannot say like population is completely out of the mathematics. We have to model and see and identify what solutions, urban planning, also considering that people will be migrating more from villages, especially due to failure of agriculture and increasing droughts. And also recognizing that we shouldn't blame climate change on everything. There's a flood in Kampala, we are blaming climate change. The problem is with poor urban planning, poor waste management. The channels are always clogged. When the water comes, what will happen? Okay. So, and I'd like to end by saying that we have the power to change. We have the power to put Uganda on a map as a sustainable country. The emerging cities, Fort Portal, where I come from, I would expect such emerging cities to do much better than Kampala in terms of urban planning and green spaces. And also for the policy makers, the leaders, the private sector here, I'm just going to emphasize the young people of Uganda are ready to work with you. We just need capacity in terms of, how to do financial reporting, how to write proposals, how to negotiate. We need that capacity, and you have those skills, and we can all deliver solutions for our environment. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Rose.
Back to you, Mildred.
All right, thank you very much, Rose. And I'll just put a rejoinder to what you said earlier on. Even when you have the money to pay the penalties, please don't throw out rubbish anyhow, okay? Because you could throw, and when a police officer comes, you say, here is the money, because you asked for a penalty. Let me go to Professor Stephen as we get to wind up this. Any key issues that were raised in our plenary that you want to respond to? But also I would like to ask how do you think some of these issues that have been raised can be addressed by the water and environment sector, and how you as the World Meteorological Organization can come into support? Because we were earlier talking about partnerships.
Thank you. At this stage, it's difficult. You feel everything has been said already, so what can I add? But to answer your specific question, I would like to say that from the World Meteorological Organization, the UN organization specialized in the field of meteorology, climate, and water for the environment, we're really looking forward to work with the stakeholders in Uganda. In my first intervention, I briefly spoke about this early warning systems. I think that's one field where we really see collaboration and feel we can really help the country and the region to sustainably develop. Furthermore, all the work WMO is doing in terms of data infrastructure, data management to support the statements Rose and others did. We are more the larger water resources sector, not on the Water Supply and Sanitation Act. Dr. Migushu will speak on that. But in the kind of larger water ecology linked to climate and meteorology, I think we have a lot to contribute. Data collection, data management, data availability, but also services, forecasting, probabilities, suggesting alternative ways for developing resources sustainably. I think that's what we're working on. And if I may give one example on what we are working on for Lake Victoria, high emphasis also on for Uganda, is the system called Hydro SOS, Hydrological Status and Outlook System, where by integrating the latest data, the best models that we can find, and obviously always in close collaboration led by local experts, integrating the latest data, the latest models into assessing the status of the hydrological system, but also making seasonal to sub-seasonal prediction. So how will the water resources situation develop in the coming weeks and months? And I heard one of the speakers is a Ugandan organization that works on these forecasts already. Very much looking forward, collaborating with them, thinking about the critical capacity building that WMO offers to strengthen further the capabilities and also facilitating exchange of data and knowledge within the country by different stakeholders, but also between the countries. No news that Uganda is a critical country for cross-boundary water collaboration in the Nile Basin. So therefore, if we can be of assistance there, we would be delighted to do so. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Stephen. A round of applause for him. And as we get to our physical participants here, I'll start off with you. I will start with the Rotarian, Dr. Sebalu, on how the water and environment sector can solve some of the problems together with looping in the partnerships, for example, from the Rotary that you talked about earlier on as you give your closing remarks to.
Yeah, thank you very much. There are also a few issues that came up that I may be able to share thoughts about. I think this demonstrates that one statement that I want to make for the record is that water and environment is too important to be left to government alone through its ministries, departments, and agencies. It is too important to be an issue of lamentation for the rest of the actors. So we all have a responsibility, both state and non-state actors, to play our rightful role in our civic spaces. So you don't need permission to participate in matters of the environment. I wanted that to be a statement on the record. Now, we are making some interventions like Rotary, as I indicated. We are working with schools, we are working with communities, and we've come up with interventions that help other government programs to thrive. For instance, when you talk about UPE, how do you keep girls in school if you are not providing water and sanitation? So these are interventions we are making for purposes of ensuring that the retention rate is high and the completion rate is high. Therefore, you are able to achieve the set objective of transforming society using education as a tool of transformation. And you need to appreciate that these are interlinked. They are cross-cutting. And that's how we do our bit. As Rotary, we are involving the young people and we are engaging the young people. We have what we call Rotract. Those are between the age of 18 and 30, and they are very active. Actually, among the partners that were listed here is the Rotract Club of Kampala Central. They are part of this whole agenda, and we have them around the entire country. We have over 200 Rotract clubs, and they're doing and implementing projects in WASH, projects in the environment, and they are really doing good. But we also have those in school whom we call interactors, and many of them are also having projects to do with the environment. As District 9213, District 9214 in Uganda, we also have a mega project on the environment called the Mission Green, and we are planting trees across the country. We've so far planted over 5 million trees collectively. Just this weekend, there is a Rotary Club, which is called the Saturday Jazz Rotary Club. They've secured 10,000 seedlings of trees, and they are going to have them planted in Soroti. And we are doing that, being mindful of what kind of trees we plant. We are putting emphasis on fruit trees so that we are able to synergize. We protect the environment, but we are also handling matters of diet and matters of food as a consequence. So one thing that I want us to take seriously is that let's not look at the weak. This is the message to the ministry, the departments and agencies. Let's not look at celebrating the week, commemorating the week. Let's be full-time. Every single day, every single week, every single month of the year must be given attention like the one that has been given in this week.
Okay.
With that, we should be able to build a critical mass of the population that is conscious, that is aware, and that is responsive in engaging the needs of our communities. I want to close by saying that many of you are doing good things in your different spaces. And I want to say, you can be many good things in this world. But as long as Rotary is not one of them, you are as good as incomplete. So I want you people to be complete. On top of the very many things you are doing, put on Rotary so that you serve humanity. Because in Rotary, we have amazing people who are doing amazing things in amazing ways to generate amazing results for our amazing communities, and environment and water is one such that we give due attention. Thank you very much for your kind attention and indulgence.
Thank you so much. I think you weaved it when you talked about humanity and how we need to serve humanity, because that's what we live for, what we normally call Ubuntu. I want to come to Honorable Wanyoto here with your closing remarks and what role you think National Planning Authority can come together to play with the water and environment sector.
Thank you. I think Dr. Sevalu should pay for this important advert.
Yeah, we'll give the invoice after. Dr. Carles is preparing it.
But thank you. You pay the bills. The National Planning Authority, as a national planner, works with all sectors and all stakeholders. And I like the idea to say that this conference is very important because it took us back to pay attention, to take stock of how we stand as a country in terms of water and the environment, but also to realize that it's a survival. You don't have to be told that you are going to die. This is our survival. It's so important that it cannot be left to government structures alone, to the national planning, because it's a government national planner. We need to consciously realize that it is also personal. When you are driving your vehicle or even on a boda and you've drunk water from Renzori water, and then after you have taken the water, then you throw the bottle outside the car window, and then that bottle finds its way to the drainage. Because it's plastic, then it will clog the drainage, like my sister from Uganda Kingdom has said. Then you find floods. Then you say, these floods because KCCA has not done its work. But it's personal. It starts with you. So the back ends with us. In our homes, how are we managing the waste in our homes? Because we all go to the shops, we buy all sorts of stuff in the kitchen. How are we managing the waste? How are we managing the medical waste in terms of people who are running health centers? We have a lot of civil society organizations who are doing a lot of commendable work in terms of the environment and also awareness campaigns, especially in settlements which are not planned. And we want to commend them for a good job they are doing. We have people who are working with international agencies, whether they are localized, like I've heard about the 1 million international tree planting. There's somebody called Dr. Jabril. The campaign is on. So let us all do our work. The National Planning Authority runs an open door policy. Please come and we share experiences. We don't want to have a national plan that is on a shelf there on a website and it's not working for people.
Okay.
So let's have an integrated agenda. We invite you to work with us and to celebrate the achievements, but where we have not done well, we also go out and correct the mistakes. Please do not hesitate to challenge us so that we can plan better for the country. We exist so that Uganda is better planned in a sustainable and integrated manner, and it is for you at individual level. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Anyoto, for the Open Door Policy and National Planning Authority. And finally, let's have Dr. Silva Mjisha with your closing remarks, but also just what more can be done in the water resources sector, natural resources sector. And I loved when Dr. Sevalu talked about the fact that we don't have to wait for the Water Week alone. We need to continue with much more.
Thank you very much, Mildred. First of all, National Water drives a Water for All agenda, and the Ministry of Water and Environment is our parent ministry. So there are very, very key areas where we intersect with the ministry. The climate change adaptation is an issue that touches all of us. Not only National Water, but I think National Forest Authority, NEMA, all the institutions under the ministry. Environmental protection, resources management, and efficient water management. These are topics that the ministry is championing, and that is where National Water comes in very, very closely. The thing that the Ministry of Water can do for us, Mildred, is one thing you may not know. We have a PS who is all round. The PS is almost a jack of all trades, and that is normally very, very key in leadership. And for us, it is creating for us a very good enabling environment. It helps the coordination role to be played very well. And it also, he has helped the technical side to continuously put on table very useful knowledge and information. And I think that is what this gathering has helped to do. If you read the key take-homes, you see very useful information there, and that is as a result of strong leadership. And therefore, that forms part and parcel of the overall incentive framework that the ministry is providing to National Water, and I'm sure to other sister institutions. And for me, if the ministry can continue to do that, that will help any serious institution from continuing to play its role, from continuing to deliver on its mandate. Thank you very much.
All right, round of applause to our panelists. And I don't know whether it was political that Dr. Mjisha had to throw praises to the PS who is here, and this is your ministry PS, but we'll take all the applause because whatever he said is actually key. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for participating. A round of applause to yourselves and to my panel right here, who I am going to allow to leave the stage right about now. Please feel free to leave the stage. And
Please.
It is a Friday.
Don't allow them to leave without a photo. We want them there. There is evidence that they were here.
And I will request
and Rose
that,
remains in the background.
Exactly.
Yes. The digital team is going to ensure Rose appears in this photo. So our panelists, please stand.
Please stand. And
this time not so socially distanced as they were doing.
Yeah, please. Not
so
socially
closer.
Get closer.
So I request maybe the PS and PS if you could join them since you're their host.
And also, Morris, since it's a Friday, Dr. Mujisha reminded us that as you think about buying that beer, multiply or divide by how much jerrycans of water. Those could have actually been. All right, so we will take that memorable commemorative picture before we can get to leave. Yes, Morris?
All right. We really need to put our hands together. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Mildred and the panel for doing a good job. And I want to invite Dr. Kalist. Please, panelists, remain. Panelists, please remain, because Dr. Kalist, I think, will start with the panelists, right? We have a couple of awards before we move into the closing ceremony. Allow us recognize our panelists. Whoever has our awards, please bring our souvenirs. We have the souvenirs for the panelists. So I think Dr. Kalist will begin with the panelists since they're already here.
Thank you very much. Can we get to the awards, please, very fast? So we have a few awards that are going to be given out. And we have different categories. We are going to start with the panelists. And the awards to the panelists are going to be given by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Water and Environment. Can we get the awards, please? So we are going to get the Permanent Secretary give awards to the various people. We start with the panelists. So we start with the Honorable Lydia Wanyoto. Can you bring the award for National Planning Authority? It will be followed by the award for National Water and Sewage Corporation, Dr. Silva Mugisha. So get ready, team, with the awards. National Water and Sewage Corporation, Dr. Mugisha, the award will follow. So let's give the PS an applause for doing that. Then we shall have an award for Honorable Mike Sebaru. Honorable Mike Sebaru. Then the people on the line. We'll have the people on the line. Rose Kobusinge will get an award. I would like somebody, a young person, to receive an award for Rose. She's online watching. Can we get a young lady? One of the student ladies, come forward and receive this award. And Rose, I hope you are seeing a young lady whom you should mentor to be like you. So thank you very much again for being part of the panel. And Chairperson, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, you can come forward and receive the award for Professor Stephen Hornbrook. I don't know whether he's still around, but you can pass the other side, the Chairperson. Chairperson, Uganda National Meteorological Authority will receive the award for Professor Stephen. Uganda National Meteorological Authority represents Uganda on World Meteorological Organization Board. So thank you very much, Chairperson. So let's give an applause to PS for doing this. We are going to have some awards given to the youth, those who have participated in the debates. Can I request Edwin very fast to come forward? And we would like to request His Excellency, the Deputy Ambassador of EU to Uganda, to come forward. His Excellency Greme Chatrin, to come forward and award our youth. Edwin, Where is Edwin? Okay, come and tell us what it has all been about, and then the youth will come forward and be awarded.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalist. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Edwin Mhomza, the team leader, Youth Go Green, but also the chair of the Youth Subcommittee for Water and Environment Week. Colleagues, Water and Environment Week gave an opportunity to the young people to participate in the national and regional youth debates. And we've done regional debates. We have been in the north, we have been in the west, we have been in the central region here, but also we have been in the east. And under the youth subcommittee engagements, we looked at universities, secondary schools, and primary schools. And the purpose of this is to have a platform for the young people to speak about water, environment, and climate change, and what they think about all our natural resources altogether. We gave them a chance to do research, what they think about what could be done, what procedures, initiatives that they can come up with, but we put it in form of a debate. So since 2019, we have had an opportunity to do debates across the country. However, of course, there are challenges here and there, and that's why we're calling development partners to support this engagement, because it gives young people an opportunity, a platform to ensure that the young people out there all get involved in this space and actually talk about all related issues that concern environment and natural resources. Now, for instance, in the West is split into two, according to the Ministry of Water and Environment decentralized offices. We had the Southwest and the Albertine. For the Southwest and Albertine, Mbara University of Science and Technology was the winner for the Southwestern region. Can we clap for them? The Albertine region also had the Finns Medical University taking for the Albertine. Can we clap for them? However, because the region is big and we wanted to get the overall winner for the Western region, again, these two winners faced each other. And I'm really excited to mention that Finns Medical University again was the best for Western region. And actually, they are here. They qualified for the nationals. Can you stand up for recognition? Finns Medical University was the overall winner for last year's Western Region Youth Debate. So can we clap for them once again? Thank you so much. That was for the category. For Eastern Region, we had one debate and we had a number of universities, and I am happy to mention that National Teachers College Kariro in Kariro District was the best. If they are here, or they have already gone back, but they were here for yesterday's grand finale for the national debate tournament. Of course, for the northern region, I'm privileged to say Gulu University was the overall winner. Can we clap for them? And of course, lastly, Makerere University took for the central region. Thank you so much. I am also happy to say that yesterday we had an opportunity to have the finals of the National Youth Debate Tournament under Water and Environment Week. And for the university category, we were happy to have Makerere University taking it again. So Makerere University, could you please come up here for recognition and award? Is there anyone from Makerere University? The students, where are they? Okay, they are here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Makerere University, you're coming here. For the secondary school category, we also had regionals at a regional level. I will start with the Eastern region. Eastern region, Amos College School was the overall winner for the Eastern region. Can we clap for them? Also, Gulu, we had the Gulu Army School as the university. Maybe just hold on before you hand it over. Let me just mention all this, and then we'll definitely give them. Then for Central region, and also the Western region, again, Mary Hill High School was the overall winner. Ladies and gentlemen, for the secondary category, for yesterday's finals, we had Mary Hill High School take up this. Can we recognize them? Can we have Mary Hill High School come here? Maybe the MC would help us start for the university. We can officially hand over the award. Makerere University, I would request, if possible, Mr. PS could also come here, if it's allowed. It's not, okay. So could you please hand over the award to Makerere University?
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. The girls at Mary Hill High School was the overall winner for Western Region.
A round of applause for
and the
Mary
Nationals.
Hill.
Thank you so much. On the same, of course, we normally give them certificates for recognition, and I think it's also on the same opportunity that they can stay behind. You can stay behind, you receive your certificate.
Yeah, we will have a certificate to this.
Okay, this is the winner for secondary school category, so they will be also getting their certificate. Makerere University, you may come back here for your certificate also. Quickly, this is it. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the first runners for the Youth Debate Nationals. Can we have Finns Medical University come over? Quickly.
Big round of applause. Finns,
Quickly.
please, as quickly as you can be able to come here.
Okay, as they come, we could also have the first runners for the secondary school, the high school category, and this is Amos College School, all the way from Bukedia. Can we clap for them? Could you please come over and receive your certificate?
Let's get Finns,
Thank
Amos
you
College,
so much.
please.
That's
get closer.
Finns.
Smiles, smiles for that.
Here it is. Okay, lastly, of course we had the best speakers for each category.
Let's first of all get the secondary school runners-up.
Yeah, the secondary school.
Amos College.
Yes, the Amos College, all the way from Bukedia. Really, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for, yes. And on the same note, before they go back, we had the best speaker for this debate category, and this is Mr. Beyonjera Bright. If you're among the three, please come back and receive this certificate. Bright, it is Finns Medical, yeah, Finns Medical University. And then, of course, we had the best speaker for the secondary school category, Miss Atkunda Patricia from Male Hill High School.
Our upcoming MPs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of the award ceremony for the youth debate, and we thank the ministry, we thank everybody for supporting the youth engagement. We appeal to the relevant partners to give this process a very good support. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you all. Congratulations to the winners, and may you keep winning.
And thank you very much, Your Excellency, for performing this function. We move on very fast. We had the hackathon, and I would like to call upon Yvonne, come very fast and tell us what it's all about. But we are going to have His Excellency, the UNHCR representative in Uganda, Matthew Cressy, to come forward and give us this award for the hackathon. So, can you take us through this very fast?
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalis. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yvonne Lugali, the Water Sustainability Manager with Water for People, and I'll quickly do this. So this year, as part of a pre-event activity, we had the Work 23 University Hackathon. It had a total of 7 universities, a total of 54 students taking part across 2 days. And what a hackathon is really is it's a creative problem-solving event where you have students, give them a challenge, they think through the challenges, and they're able to develop innovative solutions to these challenges. And so, of course, on behalf of Water for People, Water Resources Institute, WWF, the World Meteorological Organization, we want to say that we're extremely proud of all the students. And so after the 2 days, we're able to have the winners for this event. And I'll start with the second runner-up, and that's a group called Alman from Bara University. Please come up quickly. So Alman was, their solution was on low-cost household grey water recycling in Bara City. Yes. Congratulations, Team Alman. Okay. And then the first runner-up was the team from Busitema University, and their team name was Street Smart. Please come up. And their idea was the pre-treatment and reuse of mercury in the wastewater from the gold mines in Busia district. Maybe I can also mention this team actually had two universities, that's Busitema and Bara University. Yeah. And then finally, we had the winners for the University Hackathon, a team called the Ultimates that had representation from Makerere University, Kampala International University, as well as Uganda Management Institute. And their solution was real-time monitoring for deforestation and water pollution. Team Ultimates, please come up, yeah. And as well as an app that they called Aquawood. Yeah. Also getting a plaque, yeah. Yes. So congratulations to all the teams. We're extremely proud of you. Thank you very much.
We would like to thank all our partners led by Water for People for really taking us through the hackathon. Very, very interesting. We have an award for one of the partners that has been with the Water Resources Institute since its inception in 2018, WaterAid Uganda, and we are going to invite the head of Mission Austria Development Corporation to come forward and give an award to WaterAid Uganda. WaterAid in Uganda, they have an event that is going on, so I'm going to request the country director, IRC, and the country director, Water for People, in partnership to come and receive this award. WaterAid Uganda has a strategy, a country strategy, and the Water Resources Institute and the Uganda Water and Environment Week is part of their strategy. Annually, we have funding from them for holding the Uganda Water and Environment Week. For 6 years running, they have been supporting the Water and Environment Week. On behalf of the Ministry, we would like to recognize them and give them an award. The country director is not here, but fellow country directors, Jen and Brenda, are going to come forward and receive this award on behalf of WaterAid Uganda. And also, WaterAid is also supporting the female mentorship program of the Water Resources Institute. And the ladies who graduated yesterday. So thank you very much, WaterAid Uganda. Thank you very much, Head of Mission. Thank you very much, country directors, for receiving this award. Final awards are going to the regional offices of the Ministry of Water and Environment. And I've been requested by my boss, the permanent secretary, invite one of the winners, the lady winners of either the youth debate or the hackathon. Two lady winners, one from the hackathon, another one from the youth debate, come forward and award the regional offices to the Ministry of Water and Environment. So the ladies, the young ladies come forward. Are going to award the regional offices. Are going to have the office in Lira, team from Lira, and you come forward. Those who are representing the regional office in Lira, come forward and receive the award. Let's get the team from Wakiso, get ready. Team from Mbale, please move very fast. Team from Fort Portal, team from Barara, team from Moroto. You know there are many activities going on, so we get representatives. I want to call upon colleagues to come forward very fast and receive this award. So this is she's representing the team from Lira, the regional office in Lira. Give an award to office in Lira. There. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for this. You remain here. Can we get the team from Mbale? Come forward. Team from Mbale. For those of you who are not aware, the Ministry of Water and Environment has six regional offices, and we are awarding the team for very good work done to celebrate the Uganda Water and Environment Week. So thank you very much. Let's get to Wakiso. Do we have Wakiso? Yes, let's award the regional office in Wakiso. Him representing the regional office Wakiso. Thank you so much for the good work you have been doing. You are helping the ministry to deliver services to the people on the ground. Fort Portal. Let's get the team from Fort Portal. Team from Fort Portal, come forward. Okay. All of these regional offices have organized prevent activities. They have had marathons, they have had cleanup exercises, football matches. Thank you very much, team Fort Portal, for the good work done. We continue with the team from Barara. Team from Barara as we wait for the team from Moroto. So the team from Barara, the regional office, want to thank you. They had 4 week activities covering the whole week before the Uganda Water and Environment Week, bringing on board stakeholders. Thank you very much. And the Moroto team, I know the Moroto team had visitors there, but can we get one staff from the ministry to receive award for the Moroto team? Somebody to receive the award for the Moroto team. We don't have staff from Ministry of Water and Environment at all here. Somebody to receive, yes. And this will mark the end of the award giving ceremony. And I want you to join me to thank all of those that have made it possible to have these awards. We have financial contributions that have been made to make this award ceremony successful. People have put in a lot of effort. So Moroto team, thank you very much. And our young ladies, thank you very much. We thank you and wish you all the best. So let me invite Mildred and Morris to continue with this function. Thank you very much.
First of all, I want us to put our hands together for all the winners and all the participants. I think it's a very difficult job for the organizing committee, first of all, after a week-long activity, to just recognize a couple of people who are participating in all the activities. And I see we forgot to mention, for those of you who are not here on the opening ceremony, we had walkers from the Albertine region, and I see one of the walkers is still here. If we have any walkers in the room, please stand. They walked over 320 kilometers. You received your certificates when you arrived, so don't ask for them here. So we don't have the certificates here with us, because you already have them. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin now the formal closing ceremony. So I want to take the singular honor and pleasure of inviting the Deputy Head of Delegation at the European Union, Mr. Guillaume Chartin, to come and make his remarks. That's how you pronounce his name in French. And please note, that's not the spelling of the name. If you check the spelling on your document, you will notice that I've done a fantastic job. You're welcome, Your Excellency.
Congratulations, Maurice, for saying my name rightly. I know you hold dear to all of us, so I won't be long, I promise. Mr. Perez, honorables, dear representative from the ministries, from the parliament, members of the organization teams, panelists, youth, member of the private sectors, colleagues, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today closing the Water and Environment Week at the Ministry of Water and Environment. And I want to express my gratitude on behalf of the Ambassador Jan Sadek, who could not be with us today, and on behalf of the Team Europe, for giving us the possibility to address this audience today. This says a lot about the partnership we have with the Ministry, this partnership that we have built together for years, and that made the EU and its member states the first and strongest partner of Uganda on water and environment. My colleague, Dr. Rizda Kremser, who heads the Austrian Development Agency, underlined during the opening ceremony the relevance and the importance of this event, and she demonstrated as well the strong commitment of the EU member states to support Uganda in the water and environment sectors. It's always difficult to take the floor in the last days. We want to reflect on the take-homes, but I will take the recommendation of our wise elephant to go on the constant. You know, often our cooperation programs, they are dictated by joint interests and pragmatic approach. But I must confess that when it comes to working on water and environment in Uganda, it's also driven by a form of fascination and a sense of moral duty to engage, to protect together such an environment that you received as a Ugandan. And we feel privileged to be your partners in these sectors. The eye of the observers is fascinating by the rank of swelling foam and leaping water. The ear is attracted by the rough music of the river's fierce play despite the terrors which the imagination paints to watch the smooth, flowing surface on the lake suddenly broken into fury. There is a charm too in the Seine which can belong to few such, for this outflowing river that the great Victoria Nyanza, discharging from its bosom, become known to the world as the White Nile. Those words were written by Henry Morton Stanley, discovering the beauty of Uganda in April 1875. And almost 150 years after this, the fascination for Uganda's wonderful natures has developed into robust ambitions and strong commitments in our joint development cooperation agenda for its preservation and protections. I feel humble when I talk about commitments that we refer as partners to money. When I hear that during the week we had people running marathon, running in Jinja, walking 300 kilometers. I mean, that's another form of commitment, and probably a stronger one, actually, I must say. But beyond Uganda, the engagement of the European Union to protect and preserve the environment and to fight against climate change and environmental degradation is at the core of our engagement, is at the core of the European Green Deal and the center of our partnership agenda globally. And as the President of the Commission said, Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen, we must look beyond Europe's borders. We must explore new forms of global cooperation on green finance towards a climate-friendly economy. Europe will be the first climate-neutral continent, but we do not want to be the only one. And that's why we are committed to support our partners. What are those global commitments taken by Europe? Well, this is reducing gas emission to at least 55% below 1990 levels by 2030, and it's coming fast. And it's to becoming climate neutral by 2050. The Green Deal agenda adopted by the European Union aims at boosting the efficient use of resources by moving to clean circular economy and to stop climate change, revert biodiversity loss and cut pollutions. The Green Deal outlines investment needed and financing tools available and explains how to ensure just and inclusive transition. The European Green Deals cover all the sectors of economy and is at the center of our cooperation with partners. And this ambition we want to share it with the African Union and the African partners. During the last EU-African Union Summit in 2022, we adopted also the Global Gateway Investment Package with aims to support a strong, inclusive, green and digital recovery and transformation for Africa. We're talking here of 150 billion euros investment from the EU, its member states and the financial institutions, but also by leveraging private sector investments. The aim is of course to mobilize resources and to reinforce EU-Africa's dialogue on these issues and to address the biggest challenge of our time, the climate crisis. For Uganda, this commitment has translated into a reinforced cooperation, notably on issues related to green and climate transition. Concretely, this led to the development of a new phase in our cooperation, in forestry in particular, where we have just adopted a 40 million euro program. And our member states here in Uganda are contributing much more to that. Austria, Italy, Germany, France, Sweden, Ireland, notably, are among those partners. Beyond this, Uganda was amongst the first 5 countries in the world to sign a forest partnership with the President of the EU Commission at the last COP in Sharm el-Sheikh. Uganda was represented by Right Honorable Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister. This forest partnership aims at reversing deforestation. Through it, as partners, we are reaffirming the long political commitment and intention to cooperate closely to ensure forest management, generate economic transformation, reduce deforestation, and look for ways to facilitate production and trade in legal and sustainable forest products. This partnership will help us to do more and to do better. More conservation, better reforestation, more engagement with community, in particular those who have the ancestral knowledge on how to protect the environment and its heritage. We were in Kisoro a few weeks ago with the EU OMS, and we met the Batwa communities from there protecting the forest in the Kisoro, in Gainga, Echuya, and Bwindi. And I think that's our communities that needs to be engaged because they have this knowledge. I mean, they have been protected for centuries, the forest, and we need to tap into this knowledge as we move forward. The European Union is also supporting Uganda to improve its capacity in climate finance. We touched the subject today, and I think that the establishment of a climate finance department at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economy Development is an important first step on this matter. And in addition, I want to stress the importance that we are giving to bringing the financial sectors, this was also addressed today, on board, and advocating for a stronger role of this private sector to promote green investment in Uganda and elsewhere. But what will be the cooperation on environment without the cooperation on the water sector? And now I have to add, and women and youth. In Uganda, the cooperation between the European Union and Uganda is global and comprehensive when it comes to water sectors. We talk about partnership on transboundary cooperations, to water treatments, and water and sanitation services for refugees. But I know that Matthews will address that after me. Uganda has long acted as a moderator of downstream-upstream dialogue in the Nile Basin, hosting the Nile Basin initiatives for more than 2 decades. At about 3 weeks from the 22nd Nile Day celebration in Nairobi, and just a few days until the New York Water Conference, I wish to commend Uganda's commitment to promote cooperation in the Nile River Basin. On water sector as well, I want to commend the major achievements that were made over the past few years. As an example, the water treatment plant in Katosi that helps serving the needs of all population in Kampala, that was inaugurated 1 year ago with the French Agence for Development and the contribution of the German Bank for Development, KfW, and the European Investment Bank, and of course with the partnership of Uganda government and the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. And as I was mentioning, our cooperation in the water sector goes down, or maybe I should say goes up, to addressing the needs of the most vulnerable ones. With the AFD, the French Agence for Development, EU Development and Humanitarian Services, ECHO, and our partners from UNHCR, we have committed to advance the humanitarian development nexus in southwestern Uganda's refugee camp, Nakivale and Oruchinga. We have developed a project that involves providing the settlement areas with water and sanitation services for a population of about 150,000 refugees. And we thank UNHCR and NWSC for their partnership. The project also aiming at transferring responsibilities from agencies to government institutions. As I conclude, I want to reiterate the commitment of the European Union to support Uganda to promote water and environment for climate resilience development. This can only be achieved by collective work and informed choices. This is the result of decisions we make on daily basis about climate risk reductions, emission reductions, and sustainable development. And for that, I subscribe about what was said by Rose. It's not about population, it's mainly about what we do as a population on our environments. And this shows also, the discussion we had today show the close and complex interactions of all sectors to contribute to the development of the country from a sustainable manner. This is why such Water and Environment Week are so important here in Uganda, but also in Europe, where we hold this type of week. And we praise Uganda for its engagement on these issues of global importance. Thank you very much.
I will personally not attempt to try and pronounce your name. Morris already did that better, so I will not try to do that again. And to also not take a lot of time on that, allow me to invite our next speaker, because our TV time is almost done and we need this captured. I invite the UNHCR representative in Uganda, Mr. Matthew Crensill. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes to speak to us. I also do hope I didn't murder any of your names, because at least they were simpler than the one Morris pronounced.
Honorable Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Water and Environment, Honorable Senior Members of Government, Deputy Head of EU Delegation, Head of Mission of the Austria Mission, Directors, members of the panel, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope all protocols have been observed here. I'm not going to be long. It has been a week of very intense discussions, deliberations on a subject which is dear to the hearts of many of us here. We have overwhelming expertise on the subject here, so I would not even be touching on those areas. Just to acknowledge with a lot of pride the association of the UN in general and UNHCR, and the cooperation, excellent cooperation that we have with the Ministry of Water and Environment. I'm going to talk about a subject which I believe may not have been talked about much in the course of the week. That is the subject of refugees and the impact that refugees have had on and the environment here in in Uganda. At such occasions, I always take advantage of it to acknowledge and also to thank the government of Uganda for the very generous asylum policy, the best in Africa and probably the best, or one of the best in the world, whereby the government offers open doors for all persons fleeing conflict in the region. And this is a testament of the security that Uganda has been able to maintain in a region that is very, very chaotic. Many of the people around the country or in the sub-region, when they want to seek refuge, Uganda is a popular destination. No wonder why Uganda hosts the highest number of refugees in Africa and the third highest number of refugees in the world. So once again, with a lot of gratitude to the government of Uganda for maintaining its policy, open door policy, thereby allowing people to come in and not come and live in refugee camps, but to come and live in what we call settlements. No restrictions of movement. Refugees are well integrated, have access to the basic services like Ugandans do have. The only thing they cannot do is to vote, is not to vote. Other than that, this is exemplary. Having been in the organization for a long time, I can attest to this. It is not the same elsewhere. Sometimes when you have something in abundance, you take it for granted. But this is really commendable for Uganda to maintain its open doors to refugees. Currently, we have more than 1.5 million refugees in the country. And by the end of this year, the number is estimated to reach 1.6 million. The majority of them coming from South Sudan and also from DRC. Last year alone, we had nearly 150,000 new arrivals coming in. As we speak today, this year, more than 16,000 have come in, and it never stops. So you can imagine the pressure that they put on the environment and the basic services that are existent in the host communities and even in the transit districts. That is why we are very happy to be associated with the Ministry of Water and Environment in ensuring that one basic service that is fundamental for all, and that has been the cause of conflicts in many parts of the world, as was mentioned, I'm sure you heard it during the panel discussions. Water has been a source of conflict in many parts of the world. But thanks to the collaboration that we have had with the Ministry of Water and Environment and other partners, this has not happened, at least to the best of my knowledge, in Uganda. It's something that we don't have to take for granted at all. The impact of such new arrivals cannot be underestimated at all. The impact on the environment is real, and we feel it in the refugee settlements. Last year, floods destroyed about 1,000 family latrines in Palorinya and Ajubani settlements, costing more than 1 million to rehabilitate them. This is just a small example of what the environment is doing in the refugee settlements. But I must also underscore the exemplary collaboration between UNHCR and the government of Uganda, which is reflected in the Joint Water and Environment Sector Response Plan, which has been able to leverage development partners' funding to support infrastructural development in refugee hosting districts. Over the years, I'm talking of over the last few years, probably 4 or 5 years, more than 140 million euros have been committed from development partners like the World Bank, KFW, AFD, EU, Danida, GIZ, and others to build permanent infrastructure benefiting both refugees and the host communities. Of all the sectors that provide basic services in Uganda, and this I say it with some caution, but proud to say that probably where we have achieved from the refugee host community integration point of view, where we have achieved the most success is in the water sector. In January 2018, 37% of all water to refugee hosting areas or refugee settlements was done through water tracking. As we speak now, you may just imagine where we stand. Less than 1% of water supplied is done through water tracking. And we are very confident that this is going to go even lower than that. Actually, the exact figure is about 0.3% of water tracking, which is quite unprecedented, considering the very large areas where we have refugee settlements. Those who know it, those who have visited, know what I'm talking about. Hundreds of kilometers spread over practically the whole of Southwest, West Nile, and in the north. So this is not a mean achievement. And here I would like to mention a subject which probably we have not talked about much. As a result of Uganda's very generous asylum policy, Uganda has been invited to, as a co-convener in what we call the Global Refugee Forum, which will be attended by all member states, but as co-convener, and there are only 6 co-conveners. As co-convener, Uganda has been invited at the highest level, which means His Excellency President Museveni has been invited, and I'm pleased to inform you that he has accepted in writing that he is going to participate in that. Leading up to the Global Refugee Forum, there are going to be a number of roundtable discussions. Some of you will recall that on the 28th of February, the roadmap towards the launch, towards the Global Refugee Forum was launched in Uganda. And we had a team from Geneva to come and support us. And I'm also proud to say that the team acknowledged that of all the 6 co-conveners, preparations in Uganda are far ahead of all the other co-convening countries. And as a key activity towards the Global Refugee Forum, there are going to be round tables to discuss on pledges that participating countries, and particularly co-convening countries, will be making at the forum. It is the biggest platform on which refugee matters are discussed, taking place between 13th and 15th of December. And it will be an honor to showcase good examples of integration of basic services for refugees and host communities. And since in the water sector we have achieved the highest level of integration, I think it will be very, very useful for the Ministry of Water and Environment to get fully vested in the roundtable discussions, which will be preparing Uganda's case for His Excellency, the President of Uganda, to present, to make a case at the Global Refugee Forum. The main purpose of making the case is to galvanize support for the refugee program here in Uganda, and also to showcase the example of management of refugees, which Uganda is leading. Since 2018, UNHCR has put in place what we call the Global Compact on Refugees, where refugee management is an all-society approach, and it was inspired by the example of Uganda. So there is a lot at stake for us here in our preparations towards the Global Refugee Forum to be able to showcase what has been achieved here in Uganda, particularly in the water sector. We are lagging behind a little bit, or probably significantly, on the environment side of things, even though I'm also happy to note that over the past 4 or 5 years, together or in collaboration with the government and the districts hosting refugees, over 8 million trees have been planted. But I know this is not enough. There is a lot more to be done there. Now the question is, all these achievements that have been made, how do we sustain these achievements? Yes, integration has taken place in terms of water systems. We have still not gotten to the standard of number of liters of water per person in all the settlements, but we are making very, very significant advances towards that. So we have to underscore this achievement whilst also highlighting what is left to sustain the achievements made, lest we lose momentum. As the water sanitation and hygiene sector of the refugee response plan is maturing, there is a need to pursue innovative financing options that goes beyond the orthodox donors. Climate-related funding options such as carbon credits, private sector and corporate social responsibilities of companies and agencies need to be engaged to support the government of Uganda's efforts in ensuring sustainable protection for refugees in Uganda. Finally, I would like to commend the leadership of the Ministry of Water and Environment in coordinating the implementation of the Water and Environment Response Plan. I understand over 40% of the total budget of 900 million thereabout has been obtained. I hope this would increase after the UN Water Conference and associated commitments. I would also like to reiterate the UN's unflinching support to the government of Uganda in its development of sustainable water provision to its citizens and others, including refugees, whilst ensuring that the environment is well protected. Thank you.
Surely we can do better. Another round of applause. We will now very shortly invite the ministry to speak to us and formally close this week-long week. As the UNHCR country representative was speaking and he spoke to the UN Water Conference, we are excited that Uganda will have a delegation to the Water Conference. And the timing of the Water and Environment Week couldn't have been better, because you literally pick the recommendations from here and carry them to New York. So we are very excited that we've helped you with your homework. In fact, I think you need to pay all of us who came, Dr. Kalist, because you decided you wanted information. You invited us for 1 week and we provided the necessary information you're taking to the UN next week. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the ministry, it gives me pleasure to invite the Permanent Secretary, who is here representing the Minister, to come and officially close this week-long Water and Environment Week. May we put our hands together for the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water.
Thank you, Maurice and Mildred, for the wonderful job. First and foremost, apologies. I should not have been the one doing this function, but as fate would have it, I'm bestowed on this very big responsibility. There is a special cabinet meeting that is happening, and I was hoping that our guest of honor would be here with us, but I was advised just 30 minutes ago that it is not going to be possible. Therefore, I'm going to proceed on behalf of the guest of honor. So let me wear, is it, do you call it hat or the, yes, the shoes? No, the shoes, I can't walk in stilettos. I can't. Yes. So the Deputy Head of Delegation of the European Union, Uganda, Ms. Guillaume Chatain, the UNHCR representative in Uganda, Mr. Matthew Krenzel, the head of Ocean Delegation in Uganda, Dr. Roswitha, the district governor, Honorable Sebalo, the representatives of development partners, the managing directors and executive directors, apologies, chairman of UNMA, you take precedence above that, the private sector and civil society organizations represented here, the panelists, the youth, all the stakeholders, officials from government, agencies, ministries, and my very own staff from the Ministry of Water and Environment, the media, ladies and gentlemen. Before I give the chief guest speech, I think let me respond to what my very good friend Rose, the youth ambassador for climate change for Uganda, talked about. On the side of the curriculum development, we had discussions actually with the youth, and this is one of the things they put across. And we have had engagements, and there's instruction, and there's development. I cannot go into details, but at an opportune moment, we should be able to see that happening. On the side of negotiations, we now embed the youth as part of our negotiators, and we have also started engagement with our development partners, especially to build their capacity so that they understand the nationally determined contribution, the Climate Change Act, the National Adaptation Plans, etc., so that they can effectively negotiate with us. And my challenge to them is that this should not be a youth affair of Kampala, but a national youth movement. But I'm very confident they will deliver on that. Back to the speech. It is my honor and pleasure to officiate at the closing of the 6th Uganda Water and Environment Week 2023. I wish to congratulate you all for successfully completing a full week of activities that included dialogue, technical presentations, applied training courses, field visits, and various site events, among others. I wish to applaud the leadership and staff of the Ministry of Water and Environment and the various partners for organizing this event and bringing together all the key stakeholders to dialogue on issues affecting the sector and the country at large. Ladies and gentlemen, water and environment resources are connectors and catalysts and are a key resource in the socio-economic development process of Uganda. Water and environment resources are key for peace, stability at the local, national, and international levels, and for climate resilient development. Thus, the need to secure the country requires partnership and capacity building amongst the various stakeholders and states. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda has over the last few years been facing challenges related to climate change and environmental degradation. The loss of forests and wetlands through massive use of biomass fuel for cooking, combustion, combined with other drivers, which include but not limited to agricultural land, rapid urbanization, have put a lot of pressure on water and environment resources. Thus, the conservation of water and environment resources needs urgent attention, and the interventions should aim at creating incomes and assets for the people, as well as provision of education to communities. Safe drinking water and adequate sanitation and hygiene are pillars of human health and well-being. However, access to safe water in rural and urban areas of Uganda is still low and stands at 69% and 71% respectively. Access to water and sanitation services therefore need to be given priority by the sector through doing business unusual. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of partnership and intersectoral coordination, among other issues, have been highlighted as being critical. There is therefore a need to optimize partnerships and harness the synergies amongst stakeholders such as the private sector, religious institutions, cultural institutions, the NGOs, academia, and other government agencies. I'm therefore happy to note that Uganda Water and Environment Week 2023 has given priority to active participation of all these key stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, from the summary report that has just been presented, deliberations of this week have reaffirmed the dependency of the country on environmental and natural resources to deliver water, environmental and natural resources, goods and services, and to ensure climate resilient development. Thus, the management of water and environment resources is critical for climate resilient development of Uganda. This, however, requires strategic partnership, adequate capacity, and enough financial resources, which are currently limited. I therefore request the sector players to strengthen partnership and collaboration with the Ministry of Water and Environment to identify innovative options for financing the sector, including utilizing the available resources efficiently and effectively. I pledge the commitment of government to continue prioritizing issues of water, environment, and climate change, and ensure adequate financial resources are mobilized. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you all to internalize the outcomes and recommendations of the 6th Uganda Water and Environment Week and use them to drive the water and environment sector so that it supports the delivery of wealth creation and employment agenda of the government of Uganda. I wish to assure you of government's commitment to have recommendations of the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2023 implemented. I wish to appreciate the support of the various organizations and development partners that have continued to provide the technical and financial resources to the Ministry of Water and Environment and other sector players to deliver water and environment services to the people of Uganda. On behalf of the government of Uganda, I wish to thank you for your support and contributions, without which the critical sector of government would not have managed to deliver on its mandate effectively. I would like to thank the organizers for putting up this very wonderful 6th Water and Environment Week, dialogue and all the activities. I would like to single out the youth for your active participation and the non-state actors for the lively contribution you have made. It is now my honor to formally declare the 6th Uganda Water and Environment Week closed for God and my country. On behalf of the 3rd Deputy Prime Minister, thank you.
So I noticed even after he read, the hand clap was for the Permanent Secretary. So can we put a better hand clap for the Chief, our guest of honor? So that even while in Entebbe she can hear us. Okay. So very quickly, two things will happen. We have a short clip we are going to run. But to officially mark the closure, the chief guest and our partners will gracefully cut this cake. Someone was thinking it's a trophy for somebody. No, it's a cake for us today. So allow me speak to this, that Uganda will be hosting the 7th Nile Basin Development Forum this October 2023 in Kampala. This conference will bring all the 10 Nile Basin countries together to provide a platform for exchange of knowledge, ideas, experience from the Nile Basin countries, and the Ministry, together with the Nile Basin Initiative Secretariat based in Entebbe, will coordinate the organization of this very important conference. We'll call upon all sectors, our partners and friends to join the organization in hosting when called upon. As you may know, Uganda's surface water resource almost wholly transboundary, and 98% of Uganda's land cover falls within the Nile Basin. So may we have that video, please?
NBI and the Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Water and Environment, are pleased to announce that the 7th edition of the Nile Basin Development Forum will take place in October 2023 in Kampala, Uganda. Measuring 6,695 kilometers in length, the Nile River is the world's longest river, and its drainage basin covers 11 African countries. The Nile Basin is home to 272 million people, while the total population of the Nile countries is 529 million people. The Nile Basin countries face numerous challenges, including inadequate availability, unsustainable use, and poor management of water resources. These challenges are exacerbated by climate change, which represents a serious threat to water security, food security, and energy security. At risk are livelihoods and the ability to eradicate poverty, thus slowing the pace of economic development. Established in 1999, the Nile Basin Initiative, commonly known as NBI, is an intergovernmental partnership of the following 10 Nile Basin countries: Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, the Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. Eritrea participates as an observer. NBI provides a platform that facilitates the consultation and coordination among basin states for the sustainable management and development of the shared Nile Basin water and water-related resources. The 7th Nile Basin Development Forum will provide a platform for stakeholders to convene and discuss issues and propose policy options for countries to jointly address them. The theme for the 7th NBDF is Deepening Nile Cooperation, Accelerating the Achievement of the SDGs in a Changing Climate. Most African countries, including the Nile Basin countries, are struggling to meet their commitments under the SDGs. Climate change is further complicating their efforts. To address this challenge, the 7th NBDF will provide an opportunity for a variety of stakeholders to learn, network, and brainstorm on issues related to cooperative governance, sustainable management, and development of the Nile Basin. The 7th NBDF will be anchored around the following topics. Your participation in the 7th NBDF matters. For more information on registering, becoming a sponsor, or submitting abstracts, please visit nilebasin.org/NBDF. Nile Basin Initiative, one people, one vision.
All right, I hope we will be able to register, we'll be able to get all the information that we need. As we get to close of this entirely, allow me invite a vote of thanks, our organizing chairperson, to please come and give us a vote of thanks as we get to leave this particular place before we can indulge in pleasantries and it's a Friday, so you don't need to rush back home. There is jam after all. Because of the rain, there is jam, so you can keep here a little bit. But another reminder, while you're sipping your beer, I think this will go with us every other time. While you're sipping a soda or beer, you start calculating the jerry cans of water, and you think about the people who don't have water.
Our guest of honor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, because of time, protocol observed. On behalf of the National Organizing Committee for the 6th Uganda Water and Environment Week, we would like to sincerely thank you very much for your active participation and contribution to the successful hosting of the Uganda Water and Environment Week. We especially would like to thank our chief guests
for finding time to be with us through this ceremony and for closing this ceremony. We, as the National Organizing Committee, are very grateful. We know not everything went very well. We would like to apologize. We are on the learning lane. We hope that the 7th Uganda Water and Environment Week will even be better. I want to thank you in all your respective capacities for the great contribution you have made and the commitment that you have shown towards protecting and harnessing this natural resource, which is very unique and it is finite. I would like to thank the different respective leaders, because we had so many subcommittees, and for this organization to come through, both within the ministry and our key stakeholders. We are grateful for the development partners, the civil society organizations, the private sector, the Workers' Association of Uganda, the youth, all of you for the great contribution you have made. And at this juncture, I just want to say thank you, and we hope that next time we shall be able to do more things together, but also follow on our commitments that are coming out from this so that we can make it better. Lastly, as it has been played, we invite you again to join us and keep the light and the spirit burning, on, so that we are able to host a very successful Nile Basin Development Forum. I'm still the chair. With the love you have shown in the organization of the National Organizing Committee, I still expect even more love now that we are handling bigger areas. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Florence. Yes, we'll continue to show you more love. As we go to cut the cake, I want us to just do one action, because most of us are culprits of taking water, and not to say it's a bad thing, bottled water. Ministry of Water provided us this, and it's okay. But the way we dispose of this is what is affecting our environment the most. Now, it's better for us to have these recycled than someone picking this as is, and then they will pack your juice. Those who buy juice from the other side, of course, they're not here. Or someone who will also be able to defraud Ugandans by refilling this water. So I'm going to request that we are all going to be able to squeeze this bottle. So if you have the cover, please open your bottle. Let's do this. Everyone who has an empty water bottle, just get the cover and throw it inside. If you still have water, you can gulp it up. Take it all up in 1 ounce. Then remove the markings as well, please, as much as you can. And place that also in. So I'm waiting to see. The cover and everything else, please place it inside. Okay. I've seen many of us do that already. So I know you have enough strength from the food at least that we had for lunch. Squeeze it to the least that you can be able to. So you see, this actually becomes even smaller. It can easily be, recycled, because who wants to do this and pack water again? No one would want to. So, and then you can close, replace the cup. And I hope you can always remember to do this every time you use water, so you can be able to help the recycling process. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be more responsible. We act, we say what we do, and we do what we actually say. So Morris, let's have our last part of this.
I know Mildred wanted to go closer to the cake. So as you go closer to the cake, Mildred, allow me to mention a couple of things, and the PS did guide us. If you're not on our program at the end, there is other activities that will be happening post the Water and Environment Week. the launching of the Uganda Kingdom Environment Training Manual, and I'm glad we had a representation from the Uganda Kingdom. That will be happening on the 25th of April at Bulange. We also have the UJCC, Uganda Joint Christian Council at 60 years celebration. The activity in August 2023 will be also in partnership with the Ministry of Water, and building climate resilient communities, synthesis of policy and gender issues in partnership with FAO. Of course, will be supported by the ministry, but also remember the Nile Basin conference that will be happening in October. I also want very quickly to mention that the presenters of our research papers and abstracts, please do reach out to Rosemita Birunji, for your certificates. We have your certificates for having been part of this conference. So I want to request our chief guest and our partners, Austria Development Corporation, the UNHCR, the EU in Uganda, Rotary, to come and grace us with the cutting of this cake. I want a youth representative, so maybe one of the students, if they're still here, to come and join us, because we need to represent the young people who are here. Okay. Now that it's a boy who has come, can I have a lady, a youth who is also a lady? Yes, I see one of the students coming from the back there. Please come. I want you to represent the young people in the room while we cut this cake. This is really to mark.
And Dr. Florence, I think there is no way she remains seated after organizing such a powerful event. Yes.
No. Yes, Lydia. Thank you, Lydia, for joining the panelists. Lydia, representing NPA.
And Dr. Kallist wants to remain behind.
And I will request, of course, after they do that, we have some partners who did not sign and append their signatures on our commemorative art piece. They will do that. All right, we'll count from 3, 2, 1, 0. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. All right, and Bonapi, chief guest, I think what we can do is have everyone at the front. We want that group photo of all the stakeholders. So if you can come, PS and our partners, Dr. Florence, you need to come, Dr. Kallist. The student leaders, please come. You need to also continue. Students, you need to represent the students, so come back. You'll be part of this photo. This really has all the stakeholders. Okay? And as we do that, I will request after the photo, our Rotary governor, the UNHCR country rep, the Meteorological Authority Chair, surely Apoli, you should come. And Jen, yes, IRC.
Apoli, please.
Apoli, please come. IRC. Representing Meteorology Authority.
Yes.
You can go further. Why are you making it harder for me? IRC, please.
Okay, water, I think that ends off with a smile. Or you can say cheers, the normal. I mean, we were just trying to change it up.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, okay, cheers. Are we done with that? Yes. Okay, one last one. Some people could be in the crop zone. Make sure that you're not in the crop zone. We said cheers, which is the very last one. Of course, remembering the 6th annual Water and Environment Week. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So I will only request our Governor Rotary, as we come down, to come and pen his signature, the UNHCR country representative, and the deputy head of the EU in Uganda to come. You're the only ones who haven't penned your signatures to our souvenir piece, art piece for the week. So, Governor, here you go. Find a unique space on our art piece. There you are. Apuli, the UNHCR country rep, and Guam. Organizing committee members, you have a very unique photo we are going to take. So I think Dr. Kalist and the chair should stay up there. Lydia Onyoto, you also didn't, you had not yet. So this has been open through the week since Sunday, and it would be nice to have. Thank you very much, Matthew. Organizing committee members, please come to the front. You have a group photo. Organizing committee members, those who are still outside, please come. Organizing committee to the podium. Organizing committee members, please make your way. Dr. Kalista and the chair are already there. Is Dr. Flores? IRC, stakeholders, Edwin, yes. All of you organizing committee members. So I suggest some of you will stay down so that we capture all of you in case you're too many. You might be in the crop zone Mildred was talking about. So if we are many, please note, ladies and gentlemen, especially for our guests, the cake is now served. We have cake, but don't leave. We have some coffee and tea for you. Please join us. Mildred said there is traffic jam. If you look at the Google traffic map, you will notice that around Chitintale there is too much traffic. So there's nowhere you're going. And then if you finish the Chitintale traffic, you find Bugolobi traffic. And even after Bugolobi traffic, you will find the other traffic on Ginger Road. So I think you should stay with us. Organizing committee. They are almost all done. Just one more. There you go. So make sure you don't miss any of them. So ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for the organizing committee? We thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And we want to officially close this Water and Environment Week. Please go out, be our ambassadors, and share the conversations we've had. We're using the hashtag UWEWK, UWEWK23. Continue sharing the conversations, and the data and information from the conference will be shared. So please do continue following the @ministry_water. And please welcome, Dr. Kalis will kill me if I don't invite you to cocktail. And so there is a cocktail immediately outside the auditorium. Please join us for tea, coffee, and some other drinks that I may not have to mention on the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me to thank Morris and Mildred for taking us through this.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at